And we are live. Let me send out some notifications here. Just thought we'd do a Monday afternoon live stream here. Everybody can talk about how much they hate capstone lumpers. Can't figure this out today for some reason. Having some audio issues. Anybody hear me out there? Just got to get a couple emails out here, invitations. We were just live on Cash is King channel, so we were going to just come on over here and continue. I can't find it. Well, this is going great. There we are. Mark M in the house. Fate Trucking. Fate Trucking's looking for a course on how to dispatch. Somebody with a video on how to pick loads off of DAT. Anybody know of a good video he can refer himself to? Chicken Haulers in the house. Thanks for coming in. Hello from Alabama. Link is up there. Fate Trucking if you want to come in. Mark M in the house. Thanks for coming in. Howdy. Oh, Mark M. Worried about his feelings. I don't know about your feelings today. Jackknife TV got himself a speeding ticket today. That ain't a good one. That ain't a good way to start the day. I'll tell you that. Sterling, I could not find your email address here to send you a link. Doggone it. I'll wait for you to pop in here. This Trucking Life in the house. Thanks for coming in. Links up there in the chat. This Trucking Life. If you want to stop in, I haven't talked to you before. David Edwards in the house. Thanks for coming in. Howdy, y'all. Working on a carrier packet here while we're starting the live stream. Working on booking a load. I just about got it done. With both feet in the house, channel member. Thanks for coming in. All right, we got that load set up. Minnesota, Wisconsin for $1,200, about 330 miles. That's going to work out. Same day pickup, same day delivery. That's going to work out. All right. One more click on there. Then we're done. Yeah, thought we'd hop on here. Middle of the day. Cash is going to stop in a little bit. Sounds like a lot of people having some problems these days. Freight claims, lumpers, all kinds of stuff. What kind of problems are you all having? You finding that now that the freight's kind of slowed down and everything's not so much in a rush, that they got time to nitpick some more stuff. Been having some had a problem with the temperature on a load the other day. Had to go get a reefer download. Proved them wrong after they let the driver sit in the dock for what was it, from about 3:30 a.m. to almost noon on a frozen load. Temperature got up to about 55 degrees inside the trailer, and then they tried to say, hey, our product is warm. And I said, hey, you left them sit in the dock in 100-degree heat with the doors open. That's a you problem. So the reefer download helps with that. Cash, I'll drop the link right here below your comment, and also for Sterling. Oh, Mark Ely's in here. Thanks for coming in. Sterling's in here. Let's get him. Why can't I add him to the chat? Oh, he's coming. He's coming. He's buffering. Josh says, getting broker to pay detention sucks. Yeah, because they don't need you anymore. Sadly. I hate to be the one to have to tell you that. They don't really need us so much anymore. So they're not as willing to make us happy. Plus, shippers aren't as willing to pay. I tell you what, man, they will let stuff sit on their dock. They will not ship it. They will let it sit uh, before they'll pay too much, or they'll ship it another day, or whatever. I've heard people are taking produce and they'll let it sit on their dock and rot before they'll ship it and then file an insurance claim on it. I don't know that firsthand, but I heard somebody saying that they were talking to somebody that did that. That is some BS right there. The insurance company needs to know about that and know not to pay these people. Sterling, you're having some issues here. Why don't you go out and come back in? Issues with your camera or your phone or your connection. Jackknife TV says loads not done or even exist. Yeah, the Northeast. I know you're up there in that Northeast. It's gone pretty soft here. You're with flatbed. Let's take a look at load volumes out of the Northeast. Let's look at Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's the place we're looking for. Allentown, not New York, Pennsylvania. Fat finger the keyboard. Yeah. See what kind of freight we got available today. Let's say flatbed. Flatbed. Oh, 233 loads available, so volume's up a little bit. Man, that was looking pretty sad there for a while. Oh, yeah, rates kind of suck for flatbed out of that area. Well, you could go to Oregon for $8,000. Back to Minnesota for $3,000. That isn't great, but that's better than it has been. I'm surprised. I got to check. I don't have any reefers up there this week, but let's check and see what reefer rates, if they're better this week up there in volumes. Allentown, PA. 970 loads today. Holy cow, that's more than I've seen in a long time. Damn it. Go to California for $7,000. Yeah, volumes are up a little bit out there. That is good to see. And that's just today. Today's a Monday, so that's a little bit to be expected. Stavros, thanks for coming in. Hope I didn't upset you what I was saying in Cash's Live. I'm just saying what it is. Sterling's doing the circle of death with his 4 questions. Yeah, Mark Ely says, "Here's my situation. I can bounce to Owensboro, Kentucky. He's in Georgia, Atlanta, I believe. To Denver, Colorado for $4,000. Then bounce home total 1,000 miles. I'm lost here. Bounce a total of 800 miles to 2,400. I don't quite follow you. You can bounce to Owensboro, Kentucky from Denver. Is that what you're saying for 4,000? Then home total about 8. Yeah, you lost me there. I'm sorry. Angelica Jane in the house. Thanks for coming in. Jackknife TV. I was in Wisconsin today. Where were you at? You're supposed to holler at me. All right, Stavros. That's good to know. Snorlord now says DIY upsets me all the time. I am about 1/3 of the way through our new book here for the book review, and I'm loving it. It's things I'm thinking things are probably about to pop off here pretty soon. So don't spoil it for me. We'll try bringing Sterling in here again. I don't know if his camera's turned on. Virgil Smith in the house. Thanks for coming in. Manuel Mostiero in the house. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Let's take a look at that load board again. Mark Ely, are you in Denver? I'll find you a load. We'll do a live load search right here. We'll find Mark Ely a load. Denver is not the place to be. That one guy, where is your office? 4th floor of Trump Tower. Hey, that one guy, Donald Trump, knows about me. How about that? How do you like that? What's the next book for the book review show? It's called The Final Day. It's the 3rd book in the trilogy of 1 Second After. It's the 3rd and final book, and it's a good one so far. I'm about probably 1/3 of the way through it, so it's just starting to get really good. Can't wait to see what happens here. I can't wait to see how they tie it all together in the end. If everybody just gets slaughtered and murdered, or if everything works out.
All right.
Man of 1,000 hats.
Yeah. I had to restart my phone.
That happens.
Things were getting wonky over here in Modesto, California. Is 97 degrees, man.
That's what happens when you try to get on that drama stuff.
Oh, well, I'm not done with it yet. We are sponsored today by Lot Lizard Power. Let's see there. Got
I'm
me a big
scared to
old
know what's
bottle.
really in that bottle.
Want me to taste it? Find out.
No.
Come on
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Oh yeah.
Salty? No.
Yeah. Now I'm awake.
It's like yesterday's Powerade.
Yeah, it does. Weird.
Jackknife TV is just outside Apprentice. Okay, you're a good long ways away from me. Ronald, Chicago to the northeast, rate average. What kind of trailer are we talking about, Ronald? Come on with it.
Yep.
Come on with it. We'll find you a load right here. That's what we do. We live dispatching for free today. How about that? See, that one guy, Donald, knows about your gold toilet. Okay. That one guy got me pretty good a couple weeks ago, telling me Dave Ramsey knows about me. I got all excited like a schoolboy, and then I realized,
I thought that was funny.
Hey, he got me.
Speaking about getting known, I just got an email or a text from a prospective business partner willing to finance my business operation, and they spelled Amazon wrong.
Ooh. Do you need to send $4,000 to help them get the money out of their country?
Yeah, if I send them $4,000 and my social security number, they'll fund my company $500,000.
Nice. Ronald wants to know reefer, Chicago to the northeast. So tell us about where you at with the fight with your fuel card, Sterling.
Yesterday they sent me an email asking for my opinions on their customer service, so I answered that.
Did they resolve your issue?
No, we are 63 days into it right now, and they say, yeah, we're still investigating. Don't call us, we'll tell you.
Ooh. They got 90 days, right?
What's that?
They said they have 90 days?
60 to 90 days.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's just a waiting game for that. I think it wound up being about $3,600, I think.
Okay. Ron Slisky. Well, there's from Chicago. I just put in Hartford, Connecticut, because I don't know what part of the Northeast we're talking about. 47 loads today for reefer. You can go to Long Island for about 3,300. Go to Mass for about 32, 3,000. Jersey for between 2 and 2,500. They're posted for. And yeah, it looks like tomorrow is even a little better. So maybe that's happening what we thought was going to happen with these volumes, where they're pushing a little bit of freight back into the spot market to bring down contract rates. I wouldn't be surprised if that's they're starting to do that already.
Are we talking about volume destruction?
It's we will see. Ooh, I just got an email here. Jimmy, give me a second to read it. I might have to talk about this.
Uh-oh. Welcome to DIY Semi.
Well, I got an update on the Massachusetts thing just now.
Okay.
So this whole thing of what happened with this Massachusetts tax, this isn't new. This goes way back to early 90s. This law was passed. It was just never really enforced. So they tried to bring it about and start enforcing it, and Trucking Association of Massachusetts tried to stop it. So the law was already there. This was just an initiative to try to not repeal it, but I don't know what you call it, not enforce it. It had to be acted on by today, and I'm trying to decipher what the hell this means. I'd have to probably read this a few times. I could just read it live here, if everybody won't just hang up on me.
Yeah,
it kind of pertains to us. It's kind of important. It says Unfortunately, the Massachusetts Senate and the Mass House of Representatives were unable to pass the economic development bill last night. The inability to reach an agreement on this piece of legislation had nothing to do with our rolling stock initiative. Long story short, voters passed a law in 1986 that dictated an automatic tax refund credit to taxpayers should the Commonwealth hurt a certain revenue figure. This past week, the governor raised the prospect that the target revenue threshold was approaching and that the 86 law may come into play. The cost of the 86 law that will likely force a $3 billion tax rebate made House Senate leadership worry about affordability of their $1 billion tax plan. While the Commonwealth is currently flush with cash, House and Senate leadership had to figure out how to balance the two broader tax issues, as the net impact would significantly drain the Commonwealth's surplus revenue. In the end, leadership on both sides couldn't figure out how to balance both tax plans within the limited time frame they had left for formal sessions. Finger pointing and recriminations have already begun with the House, Senate, and Governor's office. Expect to hear and see more as the dust settles.
Wow.
Leadership both said that they want to explore advancing certain pieces of the eco development bill during informal sessions while they do their homework on the 86 law and its impact. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is getting boring here. Yeah. Again, we will report back as soon as we have more information. There's no potential timeline. To say this development is disappointing is an understatement. So it sounds like we failed, but it sounds like it's also not over yet. To say this development is disappointing is an understatement. The pieces for the rolling stock initiative are aligning, with both key House and Senate members indicating support. To that end, I would like to emphasize the following. The trucking industry has really stepped up on this issue. We're hitting the right people, the right messaging, and showing grassroots, grasstop support on all fronts. The bigger tax discussion, the problem is simply out of our control. Unfortunately, leadership in the House Senate identified this vehicle as the legislative vehicle for tax initiatives. Those who may ask, hey, was the TBB or the fiscal year 23 budget an option? The answer is no. We won't go no. The rolling stock initiative has taken a step up in everyone's awareness. For example, our initiative is part of the Associated Industries of Massachusetts. Blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of more organizations. They now know what the heck rolling stock is, or why we were asking about it more than ever
that
before.
was always a railroad term. I don't know why it applies to trucking at all.
Well, every other state, that's okay. So to keep from paying sales tax on trucking parts and trucks and trailers themselves in states, it's considered a rolling stock. So that's how they classify it to keep you from having to pay sales tax on it.
Okay.
Problem is, and people are ignorant to this issue. Ignorant just means they don't know. I got a lot of comments on that video that says nothing to do with us. If you don't live in Massachusetts, it doesn't affect you. I'm not going to Massachusetts anymore. It doesn't matter. This has been to court. Something I did not mention in my video. This has been challenged in court time and time again by all the big carriers, and every one of them have lost. And so you take a big carrier like JB Hunt with thousands of power units, not just now. You got to go back to 1986. Think of the millions in sales tax, right? Because
Right.
JB Hunt, I mean, I don't know what state they titled their vehicles in. I'm guessing it's Oklahoma, like a lot of other states. Wisconsin, I don't pay sales tax when I buy a truck or trailer. Now, also the problem is Massachusetts was not fairly applying this. There's a nexus challenge where you have to have nexus in the state in order to be liable for this tax, which would mean property, employees, independent contractors, a number of different things, right? Well, apparently they were trying to apply this absent of the nexus test. So
Great.
if I was to travel 1 mile in the state of Massachusetts, I could risk being liable for an enormous amount of sales tax on my truck. Even though I didn't buy it in Massachusetts, I'm not a Massachusetts resident. Well, on down the line, it doesn't matter. And people kept saying they have no way to enforce it. Yes, they do. They can sue you. They sued a lot of the big carriers and they won, and they have to pay the money.
Right.
This is a big issue. They can have your permits revoked. They can have your IRP revoked. They could have your authority revoked. There's a lot of things they can do.
And that's even before they put liens and all sorts of other crap on you.
Late fees, penalties, blah, 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 you name it. So it is a big issue. You know, I calculated out it could cost me, you know, in the 5 digits
Oh,
of sales tax because I live in a tax exempt state. I don't see how it can be legal. And it's a fee. It's not. Oh no, it's a tax. It's a sales tax.
with
So
everything that's gone on in the economy in the last couple of years, the government's going to be in a mad rush to get money. So you're going to see a lot of
well,
chicanery in taxes.
that's part of the problem is Massachusetts is ripe with money. They have so
Which is
why why are
how are they ripe
citizens
with money?
they collect? I mean, you ever paid taxes in Mass? It's insane,
I heard it's very
and that's a problem in itself. A government is not legally supposed to collect any more taxes than it needs to operate. That's a government for profit. That's illegal. You know,
right.
they threaten to prosecute Reagan for that. So it's fundamentally and morally wrong. But uh, sounds like that fight may not be over yet. It stopped short of saying that there was an extension on it,
Oh, sure.
but I don't expect that it's over, which is good. It means we didn't outright lose.
Right.
I've been trying hard to get the president of the Trucking Association of Massachusetts to come on and talk about this to make people understand. He could speak way more intelligently about it than I could, but he's just too busy.
Yeah, I imagine his phone is on fire right now.
Yeah, but he doesn't understand he could reach way more people on this show than he could with what he's doing. But you know, with whatever you help out the bigger carriers. They have the money. You know what? Sometimes bigger carriers help us by fighting these battles. If they fight
Well,
these battles and win because they have the
they
money for the lawyers, then we're all
but,
off the hook.
but they set the foundation for the industry,
Yeah,
whether we like it or not.
it's good and bad. There's good things that come of it and bad things that come of it. It's just it is what it is. But I don't want to see this one pass. This is a particularly nasty one, and it sets a bad precedent for other states to do it too.
Yeah. I know in Nevada, anytime I bought a car or a motorcycle or anything like that, even if I bought it out of state, I had to pay Nevada tax on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm a Wisconsin resident. Not obligated to pay any sales tax here, but I could end up owing full value of the sales tax on my vehicles, on my trucks, to the state of Massachusetts. It's just wrong. And if I would have
And
paid it and if I had a state where I paid, you know, a 1% sales tax on the truck and
right.
Massachusetts happens to be 6%, I can owe the difference of 5% to the state of Massachusetts. Break that down per mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of the problem is it's retroactive. That's where the numbers get really big. And
Right.
it's a bunch of BS. It really is a bunch of BS. But I'm not gonna try to explain it or argue with anybody in the comments on that video
Well,
because
and if it goes through, you know, and they'll be like, well, you don't owe the entire amount. Work with us, you know. No matter what, they're going to get their money.
but they're not doing that. It's full amount. It's full boat, Johnny.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
if it's as big as you say it is, though, I mean, can the big carriers just put the bill and screw everybody?
I don't know. Apparently, I off the top of my head, I think JB Hunt fought him already, and I think US Express fought him. Maybe Yellow Roadway.
Okay.
I can't remember. I talked to somebody about it one time, and it kind of escapes me. It's kind of a big thing to wrap your mind around because I keep telling myself, and the only thing goes on in the back of my head while they're talking is they can't do this. They can't do this. But they can do this.
It's difficult to not have an emotional reaction to everything that's going on right now.
Yeah. And people, you know, oh, screw it. I won't go to Massachusetts anymore. You know, screw them. Let them rot. People still go to California. People still go to Oregon. You know, it's almost 24 cents a mile to travel through Oregon. People still go to New York. They got a wait distance. Kentucky has a wait distance. New Mexico has a wait distance.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just paid Oregon $950 for driving through their state last month.
Ouch. That is, plus the fuel's expensive. It's not like your fuel's cheaper.
No.
You know, it's a little, I mean, maybe a little bit, but you're still paying. What's fuel in Oregon right now? Let me check and see if there's any on MUDFLAP. Well, you might know. What is it compared to Washington? Washington's got a fairly substantial fuel tax.
Yeah, Washington was quite expensive. It's starting to get less than $6 a gallon.
Damn. So Oregon,
I've been buying fuel in Utah and Nevada and just riding with it.
might as well, because you got to pay Oregon no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay, 4. I see 412 there at Jubits in
Oh, there you
Portland.
go.
Ooh, oh, look at that, folks! MUDFLAP price at Jubits in Portland, Oregon. Pump price $5.40 a gallon.
Yep.
MUDFLAP price $4.12 a gallon. Save $1.28 a gallon.
Beautiful.
MUDFLAP and Jubits, Portland, Oregon. Wow.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna have to do a post on that one. That's pretty good.
That's a decent truck stop. They take care of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's happening. I mean, Connecticut. I won't travel through Connecticut. They're going to have that weight distance tax here next year, starting the first of the year. It's
anytime somebody says they won't run to a certain state because of something, that's fine. Somebody else will do it, and they'll do it cheaper.
Plus, chances are they don't even know of all the other states they're already doing that in, where that have some kind of a fee,
right?
Charge. So
I think what we need is more toll roads. That'll pay for everything.
Don't even say that. Our illustrious governor has been trying for the last how many years to get some toll roads put in our fine state, and he can go pound sand.
What they got going on in Nevada now is on your personal vehicles. Every time you register a car or anything like that, they want your odometer reading.
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
They're categorizing that. It's.
Well, you got to figure, if they're mandating by law electric vehicles, then how the hell are they going to pay for the roads in another 25, 50 years?
Yeah.
Everything's electric. There's no fuel tax. They're going to put a hell of a price on your electric meter.
Or well, in addition to that,
per mile tax.
There's subsidies to buy those electric vehicles. You get a tax break and everything. So
that's got to stop. If they're mandating them, they got to stop the subsidy.
Yes.
You just have to.
Yeah.
I got to do this. How do you edit? How do you edit a doggone technology? It's for kids.
Yes, it is.
It's for the young. Technology is wasted on me.
I miss coal power.
Ooh, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Well, yeah. So what we're talking about. Trucking with Velox says, jumped the gun on booking a load out of Wisconsin for tomorrow. Brokers are calling me with better rates now. Where are you at, Velox?
Oh.
What part of Wisconsin? I could maybe bring you a Braunschweiger sandwich. How do you like that? How do you like the sound of that?
That's a dirty Monday game right there. Booked a little too early.
Well, in today's market, you never know. Monday could be a win or a complete bust. It's kind of tough right now.
The biggest way to answer that is look at how many trucks come into the state and how many are going out. See what the volume of loads are.
Sheboygan. Velox is in Sheboygan. Hey, Velox, we got a good season about to kick off here in Wisconsin, so keep coming up this way. In about 2 or 3 weeks, give it about 3 weeks. When you get up this way, call me for a load or email me or something. I'm going to start having some loads here coming up soon. The season's going to start here. I should have some loads to broker out. Probably start pretty slow and kind of ramp up in about a month.
That'd be a good collaboration. Make a video from your side how the load gets booked and customers and all that, and then see the video that he can make. Being the trucker.
There you go. Oh, we'll have to just trash each other out, right?
Yeah.
He can do a video. That damn broker got me again, and I can do a video. That damn carrier didn't deliver my load.
Right, and then I'll do a video and say I work for Capstone.
That's how you do it.
Yep.
That's how you do it.
As long as Cash can make the thumbnail for it.
He does that well. He must have disappeared. He must have ran over somebody's family dog and has to go deal with that.
Oh. Speaking of family dogs, my friend Richard said he's seen a guy today that had 4 German Shepherds in his truck.
Can you imagine the smell?
I just Imagine that, just friggin' paying for the food.
What is the weirdest? I saw a dude with a parrot once. Seen people with snakes, and I saw a dude with a pet potbelly goat walking around
Yeah.
the truck stop. What's the strangest animal you ever saw in a truck?
Iguana in Florida. Dude had an iguana in his truck. And I asked him, I was like, what, did you leave your windows rolled down? And he crawled in. He's like, no, that's my pet.
He took a load to Puerto Rico and it ended up in his sleeper accidentally.
Yeah.
Left the windows open.
I had a friend that used to do at Sierra England. There's a fleet called Relief and Recovery, and if you're a highly qualified driver, they just send you home and they'll book you a flight to go rescue a truck, or if a driver needs vacation time or something like that. But most often he works in the recovery fleet, where somebody will abandon a truck and leave everything in the truck and stuff, and he's got a lot of stories of finding dead animals in the trucks. And one guy ripped all the sleeper, all the cabinets out of the truck, and he had a Bowflex back there. Company driver. But I lost my internet connection there.
Oh, sorry, I had myself muted.
Uh-oh.
I hit the cough button.
I'm not qualified enough to take over your channel.
It's all right. Neither am I. Snorlord says, looks like the July slump might be over. Hold the line. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. You never know. We're going to have, you get different harvests, especially in reefer. Get some different harvest areas coming in. Rates should pick up in Minnesota and Wisconsin. They've been dog crap. I've never seen them like this before in Wisconsin. Any truck lawyers in the Wisconsin area? Yeah, there's some really good ones down in Milwaukee, but they're not cheap. They're not cheap, I'll tell you that.
Are you talking about the Hammer?
The Hammer is omnipresent, isn't he?
Ah.
Isn't he everywhere? Ron says Massachusetts sucks for truck parking. Now they want more money for the lack of convenience for the truckers. Too bad truckers can't overlook the $1 per load and stand up for rights over corruption. I tell you what, it's everywhere now. It's guys got to decide where to put his time and what to stand up for, because we're constantly under attack for some crap or another. Snorla's got a monkey in his truck.
Woo!
So he looked in the mirror and saw a guy with a monkey in his truck. Fate Trucking says big YouTubers always win. Oh, hate trucking. Fate Trucking, more like hate trucking.
Oh, that's one of my, also known as. Today I'm playing Sage.
How's that? What do you do to play a Sage?
Oh, hold on. You gotta have the hat, and then you gotta be in the bottom right of the screen. So there we go.
You know what's ironic is you do look a lot like him.
I know, huh?
You look a ton like him.
I had to do it.
Hairstyle,
I like his channel. It's fun.
Yeah. Angelica Jane, a raccoon and a lynx separately. Oh yeah, you don't want them in the same truck, man. They'll tear that up.
Yeah.
Roger Moore says truck stops should keep the goats to clean up the trash and headbutt the jack-offs pooping in bags. Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Well done. The security.
We need security goats.
Goat with a helmet.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Star-Lord likes your shirt.
Oh yeah, Meat Church barbecue. I love Meat Church.
Where is that?
They're in Texas. I buy all their spices and rubs and stuff for my Traeger grill. Good stuff.
Okay.
Now, if you're in a truck stop and you see a goat wearing a high visibility vest, get back in your truck, run.
He's working a lot. He's security and entertainment.
Yeah.
He might be trying to make money. I'm missing a rate con. I didn't have a rate con come in.
You don't need rate con.
Yeah. Killian says, sorry about last night. After I got done with the dinner, I only had about 1 hour to sleep before I headed out on the road with it for Atlanta this morning.
That dude's trucking?
He's trucking against our better judgment.
Yeah,
I
but
suggested he call the Hammer and see if he got the Hammer's permission to go trucking, but he didn't.
Right, trucking's so easy now. You can do it after you've been hit by a motorcycle. You know,
That's true.
just don't have a shifter like my truck, and you're fine.
What's that? Do trucks really have that anymore?
Only the good ones.
Okay.
Speaking of good ones, I'm pretty sure the dude loading my trailer passed out.
Ooh.
I felt a thump, and then it's not moving around anymore.
Better go back there and try the fast system on him.
No, I'm a truck driver. I'm not responsible for anything that happens in that trailer.
That is true.
Yeah, I was talking about yesterday. A good friend of mine, actually my best friend, 59 years old, worked for FedEx Ground, was making $130,000 a year. Had himself a stroke and kind of ignored the symptoms, and honestly, some of us did too. And the fast rule is face. See if there's drooping in the face or numbness. A is for arm. Raise your arms as one dips. You're probably having a stroke. S is for speech. If there's slurred speech or slurred communication, like my dude, he couldn't text. I was like, dude, are you talking to text? And he couldn't answer me, so I had to call him, and I heard him with slurred speech too. And then T is time. So fast, FAST.
Now,
call 911, get help as soon as possible, because a stroke, it'll really screw you up if you don't get help.
It'll get you. Yeah. So, do you have to take in consideration if the man might be just bold-faced drunk, like me on Friday?
I'm so glad you didn't send a dick pic. I was very nervous about that.
Sorry about that. I thought I was sending those texts to somebody else. It was nothing inappropriate, but it was a bunch of drunk talk.
No, it was entertaining though.
Yeah, Friday night I was in rare form. You gotta do that every now and then.
Not me. Friday night I was hauling butt.
Okay.
Got delivered in Salt Lake, and I had 3 hours left on my clock, so I shot across the back roads to Nevada and slept in Wells somewhere.
Okay. With both feet says Oregon, slightly less, but doesn't include IFTA.
That's right.
Subtract 42 from Washington prices and 32 from Idaho.
Right.
Yeah, if that's the current tax rates, I'd have to pull my sheet out. That sounds about right. I thought Washington was closer to 45 by now, but probably still at 42. Yeah, Oregon, you don't pay it in IFTA. You just pay that weight distance tax per mile.
Every month.
Which will almost always, let's see here. So if you're getting, 7 miles per gallon? No? What do we figure it at? 6?
No, I mean, seven's fine. That's about my average for the West Coast.
Let's see, and then it's per mile is rounded off to 23 cents, we'll call it.
Yep.
What's the math on that? So 7 divided by 23, is that how we do it? No. Yeah, no. Basically, anyway, it'd be 23 cents for every mile you drive. Roughly.
Yeah, that's I think that's what it is.
That's probably more expensive than any of the other states around it. Or anybody.
Dude next to me just slid his tandems, and he almost spit the axle out the back of the trailer.
Ooh, get that on camera.
Right.
Steve Wildman says, quit thumping the loaders. What are you loading up there? What are you loading up there in Reno?
I'm in Modesto, California. I'm at Del Monte hauling canned goods. The warehouse is currently at 60% capacity, and they're having difficulties shipping full loads. So
that's not good.
Oh, I should be wearing a different hat for that statement.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I'm here in Modesto, California, and the end of the world is nigh.
You're gonna get me drug into some drama here that I ain't up for. The opinions of the guests on the DIY Semi channel are not necessarily those of your host.
I'm getting you and Cash back for going live when I went live yesterday, so I'm gonna stir up some crap.
Fair play.
I'm drinking. I'm gonna let people guess what I'm drinking here.
I'm gonna say it's yesterday's Gatorade.
Yep. It's a lot lizard power.
Ron wants to know if the effects of Lake Mead have become more observant of a panic in the public.
No, it hasn't. And you know,
put your hat on when you say things like this.
Oh, I'm sorry. There. And camera angle. No, what's going on in Lake Mead right now? Look at what they're saying in the media, and it's selling commercials. It's not like super like the lake's not completely dry yet, but you'll see a lot of stuff like they're finding World War II boats and bodies and guns and all sorts of crap. The thing that Vegas did about 3 years ago, I think, is they added another straw to that water that takes the water out of Lake Mead.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, a lot of the water is just going down to feed Las Vegas and the surrounding areas and stuff. And if you look into the politics that surround that region of water rights and all that, it's pretty interesting. And unless we get some rain, which ain't going to happen for 6 more months, you know, the problem's not going to solve itself.
So what about their little hydroelectric power plant there?
Well, that'll come to a screeching halt when there's not enough water to go down it.
So then what you're saying is they'll have no water or electricity?
No, and a lot of that electricity, you know, goes to California. If you follow those power lines, you'll pass by them on the 40. Those power lines go right through Victorville, California, and straight into Los Angeles.
So who do you think that will California will steal power from next? And water?
They were talking about Mississippi for some reason.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What the hell?
Build some desalinization plants and pull it from the ocean, for crying out loud.
Right, which you need a nuclear power plant to run the electricity that takes.
Yeah, we can't do that. They're just they're out of their melons out there.
But they can afford to be for some reason.
Yeah.
Hold on. There we go.
What happened?
I flicked my key on and it went back to your YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
The guy next to me wants to idle his truck at 6,000 RPM.
Ooh, you doing a regen in the dock?
I guess.
Roger Moore. Ooh, Velox says those damn Californians. Yeah, man, they'll move to all the other states and take it with them. Texas, Arizona, Idaho. Yeah. I hear even Tennessee now. Come on.
Yeah. We know his blood's still blue.
I don't know about that. He got a first thing he did when he got to Tennessee is get a transfusion of red blood.
There you go.
Yep. Oh, they got the Bullhead City Dam also.
Yep.
Apparently. Roger Moore says a reservoir that always stays full is a waste of money.
That's right.
Come on with it. Yeah, they're a little crazy out there. I mean, let's go into Death Valley and build a major city tourist attraction.
Vegas is like 100 miles from Death Valley.
Well, it's close enough.
That's true.
It's just damn hot.
But, you know, Vegas makes so much money. And right now, you know, they've got certain people from certain countries buying up all the real estate there. And Vegas will never run out of money.
So who are we mad at today? Who do you want to talk about today? Tell us all about it.
Oh, I'm not mad at anybody. Okay. Anger is a manipulation of my emotions, and I prefer to not have feelings today. Capstone don't care about your feelings.
So today you're saying you identify as having no feelings?
Yes. Not only that, but today is the first day that I am no longer doing Facebook. I'm taking a break for a month.
Congratulations. Dump it forever.
I'm thinking about it.
It's a time suck.
It is. It
And
is.
you'll probably find that you spend most of your time disagreeing with people you like or arguing with idiots.
The biggest thing that sucks about the last couple of years and all the political upheaval and all that crap is that it's separated families from each other. People aren't sitting around and barbecuing, and we used to be able to talk, and
Yep.
it didn't become an ego challenge or anything like that to argue with your crazy aunt that lives in Chicago, or your uncle that lives in Washington and stuff. We used to be able to get together and talk. And it's such a, and it affects me because, like I don't have much family around anymore. Like my parents aren't around, and I've got, my brother lives in Iowa. I don't get to see him much anymore. Anytime I visit somebody, it's like, I'm just, no politics. Let's just hang out and be family.
It's taught us to hate each other. It's cue the Art Bell music and conspiracy music. It's kind of like sports. It's so popular. It teaches us to pick a side, right? They've taught us to do it in politics. Now they have us doing it with each other.
Yeah. What I don't like is that it's the hatred, and hatred is
can't just disagree anymore.
No, and it's hatred. Hatred is anger and disgust. Mix those two and you get hatred.
Equal parts. What's the recipe? Tell us all about it.
Next comment.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They you would think it would be more cost effective to build the desalination plants out there than it would be to run a pipeline all the way to Mississippi River.
I remember the last drought we had who's the guy? I'm going to piss off half the internet right now. Who's the guy from Star Trek?
Captain Kirk?
Yeah.
William
Shatner. Yeah, years ago he said, why don't we just build a pipeline from Washington and Oregon down to California? And everyone called him crazy.
I mean, at a certain point, why do the rest of us have to pay for the sins of one state too?
Why can't we convince people, the American people, if you don't like where you live, move? It's a free country.
Yeah.
If you have a drought in California and you can't grow weed, move to Wisconsin.
No, stay the hell out of here. Nice place. It's cold. You wouldn't like it here.
Come on, I'm sure weed will grow real good in Wisconsin. It'll make the neighbors happy too.
I don't know. It might.
Is it legal there yet?
No. Nope.
Better yet, I just solved a problem. Every Californian needs to move to Wisconsin and grow weed.
No.
And then you get 3 square meals a day when you get arrested.
They'll throw you in a cell with where Jeffrey Dahmer used to live.
Yep.
We grow a lot of serial killers up here. We are proud of that.
That's amazing.
Yes. We're very proud of that. Snorlord says, I do a 30-day absence from Facebook on occasion. The dopamine withdrawal is real, and I'm not even on it a lot. You're damn right, man. That scroll, excitement, and see how well other people look like they're having fun.
Yeah, looking for likes and the 5 emotions that they have on every Facebook post.
Pretty soon, that's going to be the only emotions that are allowed. You go to a psychologist and say, "Do you feel? Are you smiley face today? Are you frowny face? Are you laugh out loud face?
Are you hug face?"
Yeah. Oh, you're busted. You're busted. Look at that.
Hey, there's Sage, my favorite character.
He's here now. You got to show him your Sage impersonation.
Yeah, here we go.
What do you got to say? You got nothing to say now, do you?
Is he in the house now?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you got nothing to say. Oh, look at Sterling with his keyboard muscles.
Uh-oh. What are we talking about?
Roger Moore says, I heard Wisconsin has radioactive snakes with AIDS.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it's just they're transitory. They're transitory.
Be
Just
careful
moving
with that
through to
word.
Minnesota.
Be careful with that word.
Which one? AIDS?
No, the first 4 letters are transitory.
Oh. So I always finish it out. Uh-oh. Brother Craig says, after 50 years, I finally left California myself a couple years ago. I highly recommend this voluntary course of action for other disgusted, formerly proud Californians such as I. I mean, think about it. If you own a house in California, you move to, say, Tennessee or Mississippi or Missouri and bring the proceeds of your house with you, you're going to buy the nicest house in town and live like a king. You're going to be rich. You're probably sitting on $1 million house. You could buy the nicest house in my town for $300,000.
And that guy was saying he was in California for 50 years. That's well more than half your life in California.
Yeah, or my
And
whole life.
Don't get me wrong, like freaking California there's areas of it that are really beautiful, but
I love visiting California. I just don't know how people afford to live there. Like the cost is just out of control, crazy.
Well, here's the thing, Adam. I delivered in Tracy yesterday, and I took the back road over to Modesto. They're still building houses like crazy. They're clearing land and any house you want, $500,000.
Did you swing down to Stockton and see your group of people living in the tent cities?
No, I didn't do my live show from 4th and Stockton Boulevard.
Hey, we were going to talk about something today. What is it? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I kind of forgot.
Yeah, me too. Funny how that happens. Cash baited me into doing a live show and then didn't show up. How do you like that?
Right. That just means he's doing his own live show right now. Either that or Fate Trucking is. Him and Fate Trucking are doing a live show.
Okay. Oh, Brother Craig set me straight. He says, you're wrong. That's what caught California in trouble. Wife and I downsized to a small homestead on a dirt lot, on a dirt road. Yeah, but I bet it was still probably really expensive, wasn't it? Housing prices they just go up year after year there, don't they?
Either that or he's in Northern California where, the political environment's a little friendlier. They call that Jefferson, I guess. They're supposed to merge that Northern California with Oregon and something. Make another state.
If you're selling a house up there, don't the weed people buy it just to turn it into a grow house?
Oh yeah. Oh dude, last year with all the forest fires and stuff, there was a lot of Vietnamese families. They grow pot there in the Emerald Triangle of California, and they wouldn't let firefighters anywhere near their property. They're like, no, we're fine. We'll fight the fire. Go away.
I bet. Okay, so he sold his house in Modesto for about that, and then moved, and then $150,000 for a new place. Okay. Oh, doggone telephone.
Brother Craig, I'm currently in Modesto, trying to get loaded.
Steve says Riverside's having a housing. That's hard to believe. That's so close to the Inland Empire there.
Yeah.
We got somebody who identifies as being brilliant, and then somebody who identifies as being sage.
There we go.
I told you were bringing all this drama to my channel.
Hey, we all need clicks. It's fine.
It's turning into a Brady Bunch scenario here. You two just settle this.
Right. I don't even know what's settling. I missed the beginning part of it.
He's got a sage hat.
Oh, the sage hat?
Yeah, I love my hat. Every time I see you wearing yours, I got to wear mine.
Absolutely. I have multiple. I have probably like 12 of them. Actually.
There. That's my best impression of you, say.
Nice.
No, I'll tell you why I love this hat. My father used to wear these hats all the time, so I had to have one for myself.
Absolutely. My first impression. This is my first impression. It's on YouTube. Doing an impression of me. So, not What's going on, buddy? Sorry, my mic.
What is that? Is somebody playing Tetris in the background?
I think Fate's playing Tetris on Sage's channel.
They are.
He's playing All-Star Hockey on his smartphone.
I'm gonna go eat my feelings away. You
Stay
guys
here.
can argue.
Stay here.
You ain't fat enough to eat your feelings, son.
We have. Would we have a debate here? Is there anger and frustration?
A bunch of people get together, all just hate each other. We just give each other hell.
All right.
That is one fancy moving background you have there.
Thank you. That is my. It's actually a. You can make them on. I can't remember what they're called. And then I just take the music off it and I just play that. So there's actually music playing on that.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if my back cam's working.
So it's been a while. What's the latest and greatest?
It has. I've just been doing a bunch of other stuff, so logistically, obviously. Some freight and some other stuff following, waiting for the missile to hit, the plane to be shot down at this point. But basically, that's what I've just been covering about all kinds of stuff.
All right. So here's the bottom line, right? It's been a while since we talked. We got how many people we got watching this? We got 56 people here.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people are going to find out. How long before we all die, and which mountain do we go to get into the underground bunkers?
That's a good question.
That's actually a serious question.
It's an interesting thing, to be completely honest. So right now, Nancy Pelosi doing all this is basically one of those things where we're saying who's with us and who's not, right? So same thing Newt did back in 1997. When having dealing with China and stuff like that. When the House makes the trip, it's basically just who's on our team, who's not on our team, right? That's all she's really establishing. Hey, these Asian countries are with us. And
she's also provoking one of our greatest rivals.
She is, and right now we are in a war. Like it or not, we're in an economical war. You have Russia basically hammering for famine, and you have China hammering for economic. Right?
We're definitely funding a war.
We're funding a war because I did a video. Nobody watches my videos, so I did a video basically that in regards to when you come down to war, there's the only thing that money doesn't matter anymore. The things that matter is energy and food, which basically money is. Money is just storage of energy, right? That's all it really is. I give you this coin, you go out and mow my lawn, right? That turns into physical energy and so on and so on. Well, basically what Russia did is Russia came in and said, "Watch this, America. We're just going to do this, interrupt the breadbasket of the world, and you can throw as much money on it as you want, and we don't even have to do much to cause major chaos on this side over here, famine and problems like that." So at that point, they can come in and say, okay, which they're doing. Their prime minister is actually going around to places like Egypt now and taking some of the wheat and the grain and the food that they have and basically giving it to places like Egypt. So they're kind of shifting the geopolitical power from the west to the east. Sounds
complicated.
It's basically like rather than us being in charge, the east would be in charge. So, which is not something we want. And then you have. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And this is going to sound like I'm making a joke, but I'm not really. And you may or may not understand where I'm going with this. Are you saying that the kings of the east and the kings of the west are uniting, are rising against each other?
Yes, and we are not in the picture in that story. To be completely honest, we don't fall into the story. If you go with that one, right? We're kind of not a part of the religious aspect of that.
You know what? Regardless of where people are or what they're thinking, I'm thinking they need to really start strongly considering that to be a real possibility, even if you don't believe in it. Because I kind of feel like, hey, are we living it?
Yeah, and the big thing, like I see a lot of people that basically say, "Oh, our dollar's going to crash, and it's going to go back to gold, and it's going to go back to we're going to lose our world currency," and that's not something we want. We do not want to lose the dollar. Does not want to lose its spot as the reserve currency of the world.
You do not want your digital currency either. You will rue the day.
No, and even the fact of sanctions, like right now, we're the reserve currency. So when something happens, like it or not, we sanction people like Russia, and we sanction a lot of this stuff. Well, if we lose that reserve currency, Americans are not going to realize the power of sanctions because we technically don't get sanctioned, right? We're the reserve currency. If we lose that and other countries start sanctioning us, and it could be over stupid things. They could be like, look, we don't think you guys should have guns, and we're going to sanction you until your civilians don't have guns. We don't think you should have freedom of speech. We don't think you know, this or this. And I know it's a long reach, and people are like, oh, you're nuts. But it's when countries sanction other countries, you basically strangle a country. And the leaders of that country say, look, either we can collapse from within or I can submit to the sanctions. And that's what we would hope Russia would have done, right? So, because we cut money off to their rich people. We stopped shipping this, we stopped buying this. We're hoping that the people would rise up against Russia.
I heard
So
that we
I've got a
stole their
question
yachts.
about that, Sage. So do sanctions hurt the country or does it hurt the people?
Well, to be completely honest, sanctions eventually hurt the people because that's what you're trying to do. They hurt the people, right? I mean, because you're cutting off the sale of oil, so that means, hey, I'm in the oil industry now. I'm out of a job. If a country's not ready for it. Now, countries like Russia, I was actually shocked they did that because, hey, you want to sanction me when I supply all the gas to Europe? Is that a good decision, guys? Is that really what you want to? So it's over. You hope that it affects them faster than it did, and Russia's holding out. Then eventually it affects the people in the country, and then you hope the people in the country rise up and go. That's against the country, saying, "Hey, I'm starving here. I'm going to start breaking into windows and breaking into buildings and start stealing." And then the country gets to the point that they say, "Okay, we can't have this because now we have a mutiny here, and our ship's going to start sinking." But they're not sinking. Right, Russia was probably well more prepared for this, and they don't have to do a lot to cause this carnage, right?
Everybody is saying, Eric, you're nuts, and by everybody I mean Snorlord. So what do we say about that?
He's absolutely he right now, to be completely honest, he's hiding it. He doesn't want to admit it, but I know he agrees with me. So he's basically a closet sage follower at this point. So.
Yep. Okay, now Ronald and Brother Craig, similar question to me, or thoughts as me. We all want to know. You may have inside information on this. You know about everything else going on. Who indeed is the Antichrist, and is he here already? Go.
To be completely honest, I could pick so many at this point that it's kind of scary.
I thought it was peculiar, but I watched a video from Jordan Peterson about the Ukraine and all that. Mm-hmm. There's a really interesting video, and he seemed to bring up the fact that Putin's actually starting to lean towards Christianity a little bit.
Jordan Peterson is fascinating, and it surprised me. He didn't really make a video pretty much saying I am a Christian, I am this or I'm that, but he kind of leads to that, and he's a really smart guy, and I'm very much generalizing here. He's kind of like, well, how could you come to any other solution, or how?
Right.
You know what I mean?
But in that video, he made it seem like it's a war on the West, and anybody that has interests against the West, the West wants Ukraine really bad.
Right.
Well, think about it. Think about it. If you are a believer, whatever, and I'm not going down this road. I'm just putting this out there. If you are a believer of somebody that believes that, and you have to have your one world government and currency and all that, well, are you going to bring the rest of the world up to the United States standard, or are you going to bring the United States down to everybody else's standard? Which is more likely?
And with our previous administration, it seemed like we wanted to bring everybody up.
No, yeah, but I don't think they'll let it happen. It's too big of a task. It's too big of a task.
It's very difficult to bring everybody up because we have so many different mindsets in this country.
You have people still living in dirt huts in large parts, most parts of the world.
Correct.
It's too big of a task.
Right.
But I mean, look at the last couple of years. We had the largest, change of exchange of currency and transfer of power that's ever been seen.
Mhm.
You know, look here in America, everybody's
barely made
got
a dent.
brand new car, and you know, they're buying houses, and people are buying semi trucks and all that. And I worry about the small countries like Sri Lanka or Panama or something like that. Those countries must be, you know, looking at us. We're living high on the hog with our government subsidies and all that crap, and it just, there's a lot of unfairness, and I'm worried that the stability of the rest of the world is they're going to look at America and go, well, they screwed up. Well, we're really screwed.
Well, the issue is that when we got all the subsidies and the PPP money and all that money, that money was printed, right? We printed more money. We all know that, right?
Right.
So if you, let's say you're in your country and you're in your country and I'm America, right? And you're holding American dollars and I just start printing them and printing them and printing them and printing them, that lowers the worth of your American dollars in your country.
Sure.
That makes, okay.
Thus part of the reason sometimes they talk about having a dual currency, one for foreign use and one for domestic.
Right.
A lot of countries do that.
Right. So basically what I'm doing is I'm to pay for all this stuff over here, I'm basically taking your worth of your money and basically now putting it into my country. So you have other countries that are looking at this and saying, wait a minute, you guys are just printing like there's no tomorrow. I'm holding all this US dollars so I can buy oil or I can buy this stuff, and you are literally lowering my dollar without even. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of it. If you're gonna crush this thing, I need to get rid of it. And then when all that money starts coming back, that's another reason inflation comes in. All that
right,
because
money's just a promissory note, right? It's just, this is the value of my worth and my work and my country, right?
Right, and that's what fiat is. Fiat is basically, I promise that it's actually worth this, right? There's no backing behind it. So I think what the Great Start Over is looking to do is turn money into, like, right now, money. If you look at money would be stored energy.
Yes.
Okay. At that point, it's the most efficient way to move stored energy would be the Great Start Over. Would be batteries and things like that, right? So if you created that Bitcoin or that cryptocurrency, that would be stored energy money, which you could keep moving because money has to move. If you pull money in and hold it, it's not good. That causes inflation, you holding it. It's got to keep moving.
The velocity of money, it's called.
Correct. Velocity of money. So,
yeah.
So we got, and I don't mean to cut short, we got a lot of catching up here to do, so let's move through question after question. We're going to do the rapid fire style.
All right.
Sage,
okay.
who nukes who first? Go.
It won't be us.
No.
Who will it be?
I think Russia will nuke themselves and just say it was an accident.
Yeah, I actually believe the nuke is not even a very vital weapon at this point. There'd be much more damaging weapons. If a nuke goes off, it's going to be in the form of hitting a satellite and causing an EMP and a collapse of us. So it's not going to actually be, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a nuclear explosion to hit the ground. If you were really going to do it, you'd fire a nuke into a satellite, and next thing you know, banks are off, internet's off, and that would be a much more damaging blow.
Yeah, but who needs nukes when you have the media?
Correct.
Ooh.
Very true.
You may not have seen the new Top Gun movie. Is the new fighter jet from the Top Gun movie actually real?
I did not see it, but if it's
haven't seen it yet.
Me neither.
The F-35, the F-35 is real, but the issue with the F-35 is there's an injection seat problem, and there's a lot of F-35s grounded right now, allegedly.
Okay.
Oh man.
All right. Somebody said back in the day, I don't know who will win the next World War, but what do they say? World War III will be fought with pitchforks and shovels.
That was actually Einstein. Albert Einstein, after creating
there you go.
the atomic bomb, basically said, I don't know who's going to win the next one, but the one following that will be sticks and stones.
Yeah. So, utter destruction, is that what we're talking about? Absolute destruction?
In my opinion, more of an implosion. I truly believe that if Russia really wanted to hurt us, we have a lot of weapons here. We have a lot of stuff going on, and you would want us to implode so that you still have our land and everything.
Is it more likely worldwide economic collapse than actual, nukes and bombs?
Yeah, think about this. If the TMS systems and the DAT board and every way you guys went to find loads just went down, How damaging would that be? Like,
Oh yeah.
I'd be walking
Insane.
back to Nevada. I'd be hitchhiking back to Nevada if that happened right now.
I mean, you have no, you not be. I mean, the phone would be ringing off the hook trying to find freight. It would be and we have the worst supply chain. Our ports are ranked worst right now out of 350.
They don't have phone booths at the truck stops anymore. We're screwed.
Right. So that right there would be an easy. I mean, it wouldn't take much to take out. If you can take out the Colonial Pipeline, take out DAT and Internet Truck Stop, and let me know how that works out.
Okay. Well,
Does Russia think they are equal to or better than us?
I believe one of the things that Putin just came out and said is that United States doesn't have. If we're the superior country, that makes everybody else less than them, right? So I think what he believes is that a true combination between China, Russia, Iran, that type of grouping of people could cripple us economically, because that's what would hurt us the most. We love to them. We love money. So they want to take what hurts us down the first, which would be the money.
So, Sage, who's vying for North Korea?
Who's vying for them? You mean?
Yeah. I don't hear any talk about North Korea. Who wants them? Who wants to partner with them?
North Korea is really functional with China in regards to what they do and the decisions that they make. Kim Jong-un has actually made multiple trips on his train to go to China. So they kind of take orders from China. China gives a lot of their moves a lot of their goods, by rail and stuff like that, because obviously we sanction North Korea. So they truly answer to China. So they're like, whatever China wants, they make decisions kind of based on that.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday I went, like, every once in a while I'll pull up Google Maps and just do a little satellite travel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nice roads between China and North Korea.
Yeah, that's how they get most of their goods, and they get around sanctions and things like that. Is they do a ton of trading with China through their rail system and through their roads. That's usually where they get their stuff.
Okay.
So, looking into the crystal ball,
yeah.
When does the port of Shanghai reopen, or does it ever?
I think right now it's being, and some of the stuff, like I said, a lot of stuff that went down was obviously it's not being opened because it hurts us for it not to be opened. That one thing really, it makes everybody kind of realize who's in charge, as that's not open. So he's coming up for re-election in, they say, the fall. They don't really give a date, but she comes up for re-election somewhere probably the November area, October area. And at that point, it's going to go at that point. I don't think anything truly happens until he either goes into something because he doesn't think he's going to win the election, and next thing you know, conflict starts, or after that. But I'm pretty sure he's going to try to hold off until that election. His third, which would be his third.
Okay. So, where did it go? I had a comment here. Trucking with Velox says, Sage just made this show really interesting. So apparently we were dog shit boring before Sage came on. So appreciate you coming in.
No,
appreciate it.
No problem.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it, Velox. It was just too easy.
Yeah,
you set him up, I knock him down.
Yeah, that's exactly what Putin says. If you guys are superior, then the rest of us is we're all at the bottom here.
Oh, Snorlord says you're still nuts.
Absolutely. I vouch for that. I've definitely changed the format of my show from its original format a couple years ago.
So, everybody disagrees with me on autonomy and trucking and stuff.
What's your opinion on that? I missed that.
Well, just what we used to talk about, that despite people saying it can never happen and never happen, it's so many years away, that it is happening.
Yeah, in regards to that, so China's actually got some of their Belt Road Initiative. They have roads that are completely dedicated to military vehicles and self-driving trucks. One of the reasons that they are completely whooping everybody in regards to efficiency at the port is it's all automated. It's self-driving little cranes. It's self-driving little thing. I don't know what they're called. What we have is container chassis. So these little things move it. It's all self-driving. It's a huge rush to get that. Now, understand what we talk about self-driving. was the same thing that when the railroads came out, they were like, oh my God, they're so noisy. They're going to burn down the neighborhood. The flames are shooting out. It's never going to happen. Well, if you take the same model, the self-driving truck model as the railroad, every time this truck drives the same route over and over and over and over and over again, it's literally building a virtual railroad. Okay. It knows that lane. It knows that whole thing over and over. So although it's not going to replace all of trucking for a long period of time, it's definitely going to start to replace aspects of trucking that most truck drivers hate anyways. You know, some truck drivers don't want to be away from home this long, you know, or that straight shot down south. That is kind of what they're pushing. So even if it gets rid of 30%, and I want people to understand this is, truck drivers truly can't get raises, because if we don't get raises, that means inflation. That means prices go up, right? Because if I give you more money, that gets on. But if self-driving trucks come out and start to do that, now you technically have an opportunity to basically ask for more money to go where this self-driving unit can't go, right? Because it's not going to run that route. So right now, if everything stayed the same, freight prices, how long were freight prices? I'm going to use simple numbers. How long were freight prices at $2? Forever. They were consistent.
Yeah.
Freight was
That
consistent.
was like the standard.
Right. So when people are like, we don't have enough drivers, we have enough drivers if everything's still consistent. We did. But when it spiked, we didn't have enough drivers to cover the spike. It's sort of like UPS working during the holiday seasons. They got emergency, they got to hire a whole bunch. But it's very hard to hire truck drivers just for the holiday season. So as everything grows and more countries like Africa start to get power and the ability to manufacture and you know, then they can get some money coming in. We're at a point right now where China actually outsources to Ethiopia and then ships to us. So we thought China was cheap. They're now outsourcing to Ethiopia by building, you know, manufacturing in Ethiopia and getting them power. Countries become, go ahead.
They've taken over large parts of Africa that used to be, you know, colonies, you know, of
Tribes.
British colonies and, you know, different parts of Europe. I mean, they gave a lot of that up, and China took it right over.
So that
the biggest challenge to autonomy, though, is we need all these vehicles to be able to communicate with each other.
right, which is 5G.
Right.
And that's
That was the big missing piece of the puzzle.
Right,
I mean, you could say a lot of things, but that doesn't mean the fact that they're still not going to do it.
right. And everybody's like, well, the safety. At this point, it's like we have to decide, do you want to eat? Do you want your goods? Or do we figure out a way? I mean, if they want safety, they're going to slow. I can fix the safety easily. You slow these trucks down to, let's say, 55 miles an hour, and you put big oversized lights on them. Now, they're not hauling oversized, but there's big flashing lights on them, like when I haul oversized freight. And you see that that's a self-driving truck. You know what I mean? And you stay.
Well, that's to assume that they really even care about safety. It ain't about safety. Most of the rules they pass with us are not about safety. It's about revenue and enforcement.
Kind of what Sage is saying there, you know, why not have a truck? You know, you got me that can drive a truck solo from San Diego to Boston. Why not have the truck drive in a dedicated lane at 45 miles an hour while I'm sleeping?
Correct.
And convoy with other trucks, you know?
Right.
That's the way it's going to happen, you know? As long as the truck's driving 45 miles an hour, has its own dedicated lane, and all I got to do is wake up, put fuel in it.
I would have to get up every 5 minutes and look out the window and in the mirrors and say, mercy sakes alive. Looks like we got us a convoy.
Right. I mean, and it's
That'll be your job.
Right. It's one of those things too that eventually, if they came in and they said, look, the self-driving aspect, you know, when you do your 8-2 split, what if we let the truck drive the 2 split and you get an extra mile down the road? Would you be willing to put the system in your truck to you decide where, obviously, you decide the spot now and let it drive the 2 split. And then after that, you jump back in. That's something some drivers would be like, well, I can get further down the road. I'll do that.
I like to be this thing called alive. I just don't know.
Yeah,
just don't know if I could do that.
And
like today, I've got to pick up this load here in Modesto and drive towards home there in Reno. I don't want the truck driving itself over Donner. I'm sorry. I own that hill. That hill is my responsibility. I don't want anything electrical driving it.
But and for me, I couldn't drive team. When I was driving tractor trailer and I first started with Schneider, they're like, okay, you're going to team drive. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I could not. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And luckily they said, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and put you in a truck, but I couldn't team drive, and they wanted you to. But there's going to be some, like I said, there's going to be some aspect. There's already some self-driving things, you know. So other countries is taking this technology, and eventually it's like, how do you compete? Because we want everything made here, but yet other countries are doing whatever they need to do to be even more efficient and cost efficient.
And you're talking about other countries that aren't as litigious.
Correct. And so how do you compete with, okay, you can pay $100 for it here, or you can pay $10 for it? I don't, that's the other problem we have. So
is there any truth to poultry producers? They send stuff to China for processing and it comes back?
Yeah, so that was a story a couple years ago, I believe in 2017, from Tyson. Tyson Foods, they were stated that they were sending chicken over there or something over there, and Tyson would not respond to the article. So if somebody were to look up Tyson Food sends chicken to China or food to China, 2017 area, there's actually articles about that they were doing that, and either they were caught and they said, no, we're not doing it. But they wouldn't actually comment on that. But it was during a something happened with the pigs over there in China.
They got caught putting cardboard in their meat. Remember? Yeah. No, serious. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You know what it was?
If they wanted to save money, all they would have to do is take a cargo ship and retrofit it into a processing factory, bring it to port, load the damn thing up with birds, take it 200 miles off the coast to get into international waters, process the hell out of, put a bunch of Chinese workers on that ship, process the hell out of the meat, and bring it right back to the port.
I think that article you were mentioning, Sage, they were saying that, you know, the average income for somebody processing chicken is like $17, $18 an hour, where in China that labor is like $1 an hour at the most, or $2.
$17, $18 a week. But no, and that's what they were doing. But the issue too is that like I did an interview with Amber. She has a degree in economics. Basically, the middle class is where companies, like every entity, is not all you are as an entity is an algorithm. That's all you are. When companies look at you, they don't look at you any different than automation. You're not as efficient. You know what I mean? You're all just automation. There's no feelings as in a corporation. Their job is to make money for their stockholders and process stuff. So what happens there is the middle class actually gets cut first, because middle class jobs are usually just the level where companies want to save money, where they can bring, let's say, auto workers. The middle class from the auto workers, they put in automation and arms, right? Robot arms to do the same thing that people were doing. So they don't go after the lower class first, and they don't go after the higher class first. So what they're actually doing is cutting the ladder. So they're making the gap. So even automation makes the gap from middle class even bigger from the poor class to the upper class, because of automation. That's, if I own a business and I'm in manufacturing, you're probably going to manufacture. That was a middle class job. I'm now replacing your middle class human people with automation. And I did a video, like I said, she legitimately said exactly what corporations did. I even did a short video on it. It's about 4 minutes long. That she basically says, this is how corporations look at it. You're just an algorithm. You're just another cog in the wheel. It doesn't matter if you're human or automation. How can I make it more efficient and make this, happen more? And that's usually what corporations are looking at.
Yeah, we're all in the data set.
Right. And that's another reason the middle class, and she even says, look, it's not the R word that everybody wants to call everybody. I don't want to get you booted. It's actually the fact that it's that middle class is where corporations can see the most saving by bringing in automation, that middle class jobs of that corporation. And that's what they're not going to go after somebody, sweeping the floor for $12 an hour. They want to go after somebody making $30 an hour. And can I replace that with automation? I did a video on China just built a bridge in 3 years by using self-driving excavators and trucks picking the dirt up and digging all that. So normally an excavator job or construction job of running that excavator would be a middle-class employee, right? Well, now,
a healthy one.
right. Now they're basically saying, okay, we now have excavators that can roll in, dig dirt, and load it into the truck. So now we have robotic excavators to get rid of that middle class construction job.
Well,
So at that point,
that's
you
the
just
beginning.
have supervisory roles.
Well, you replace all these people like that, and then okay, what the next logic is? UBI, Universal Basic Income, and because you've put all these people out of a job, and once you start that snowball rolling, there's no coming back from it. Any country who's ever progressed to the point of a UBI, the economy never returns.
I was talking to a friend about that yesterday, and he said that hungry mouths are obedient faces.
Yeah, and I even when I interviewed She Van Fleet, and She Van Fleet actually lived in China. News and everybody else. She was on Tucker Carlson and Gavoch. Trump.
You got some mic problems there, Sage.
Okay. What about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Is it? Okay. I don't know what's going on. I might have to jump out.
Yeah, you got like something blowing in the mic or something.
Am I on the right mic?
I don't know.
Let me check my audio. Yeah, I'm on the right mic.
That's better now.
All right, might be StreamYard. So she was actually lived in China during the Cultural Revolution, and we did a series. It's a 3-part series. I've already done 1 and 2, and I put it out there about the Great Famine and what she did, and that's pretty much what she figured. I'm sorry, what Mao figured out was Mao basically said, "Look, there was a revolution in Russia," and he said, "Why did that happen under communism?" And he says, people must have been too hungry. People weren't hungry enough, and that was one of the reasons that he started building steel and kept people hungry, because hungry people work.
You got some mic issues going on there.
Let me jump out and I'll come right back in.
Okay.
Well, throw some comments, Adam.
Not many. I think people are just listening. I had time to book a load and do a rate confirmation there and everything.
Oh, geez.
So did all you guys do all the heavy lifting. Trucking and Velox says litigious is the word of the day. Yeah. As long as it's not against you, right? Litigious is one of those things you never want to hear somebody else say towards you. You want to be the one throwing around that word. Shannon Thomas, do you think the reason they're building walls on the highways is to remove the risk of animals running out in front of those trucks? Who knows? They make good sound barriers too.
Could be. Well, here
Brother Craig is the only one that picked up the C.W. McCall reference. I was a little hurt by that. Nobody else, not even a chuckle or a chortle or a snicker out of anybody. That hurt. That hurt my feelings.
Back to what Shannon was saying, they've made a bunch of animal overpasses here on the West Coast, so the herding animals can get across the highway.
Don't they have the ones that go under too with the giant culverts? You used to see elk running through them all the time.
Yep.
With both feet, Jordan Peterson is awesome. I only have the mental capability to listen to him for a few minutes before my eyes cross and my mind turns to jello. Yeah, but keep trying. He has some intelligent things to say. He might make you think differently. Do we agree about every single thing? Probably not. That would be
he's got some good books, and the last couple of videos that he's made, he's bringing to light a lot of the struggles that we have in the middle class.
He'll get you thinking for yourself instead of listening to what somebody else says. Honestly, Brother Craig, UBI is coming like a freight train. Yeah, unfortunately, and then probably half the population thinks it's a great thing. We got to start educating them otherwise, but you won't convince them.
The way I see UBI is it's the same as eminent domain. It's the government taking control of it.
Yeah, and it will cause further inflation. Nomadic Brit says, "Make America Great Britain again." We about to go to war.
That's treasonous.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, we already are Great Britain. As I'm sitting here drinking tea.
Is that British tea? I don't think Arizona tea is what they had in mind when they did the Boston Tea Party.
Damn it.
MF and Truck and Mark says, great stuff. Okay. Sage, I dropped the link in the chat here. I just posted it. Wallace Over says, I find him to be dead on. Look out, Brit. We can still punch the motherland in the mouth. Well, donkey punch him. That's for sure. You're back.
Yeah. All right. I should be on the right mic now.
That sounds better.
Okay. I restarted my. Got a lot of money in audio equipment here. You would think it would work properly.
More money, more problems.
Exactly.
That's what Biggie says.
Uh,
Pardon me while I feed my dog some beef jerky. She's holding
That was
me
an
up.
interesting interview you had with Paul. I didn't realize that he was in the industry.
What's that? What are you talking
Well,
about?
he knew Milli Vanilli, and he knew Biggie, and
The man knows a lot of people.
yeah. That's pretty much what he did in his. I know Paul. That's what he did in his past life. Was he was in the in that industry.
He might have been one of the Village people. I got to ask him about that.
oh man,
That's rough. That's rough.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I have no idea.
more comments.
There is no more comments.
Let's start making our own comments.
All right. What else are we talking about here? Nuclear war. We covered that. Is Canada still our friend?
Well, they say I'm Canadian because I'm this close into Maine. So my co-host calls me Canadian.
Oh no.
So we were live earlier today on another channel.
Yeah.
Had to educate people on how brokers don't take possession of the freight, and
That's
they're
right.
going to be distancing themselves from
That's
drivers.
what I tried to. I'm trying to relay to people because that was a huge court case that C.H. Robinson, $1 billion court case. That they are and I don't know. You guys tell me. I just know that there's why he left. I just see them from a couple of people I talked to that their goal now is they have to get before they could be a little bit more involved, right? And they were, and everybody was. But now since there's nuclear verdicts on the broker side, you get the same knee-jerk reaction as nuclear verdicts on the trucking side, right? It doesn't matter. It's just here's how we're going to do it. And now you're starting to see a lot more. And I've dealt with some other YouTubers on this that you can't just pass that responsibility of you as a carrier, as a motor carrier onto your drivers, and they get that responsibility because I just see a lot more brokers basically saying, look, man, I got to talk to the carrier and then at that point, here's your information and I'm just a middleman. As a broker, I'm just a middleman now. And even in the articles that I'm reading, they're basically saying, look, this is going to fundamentally change how we interact. And that was in one of it's going to be a devastating blow to the industry.
What we were talking about it was actually in relation to lumpers and people wondering why they had to be the one to hire the lumper, why that wasn't arranged by the broker. It's their customer, it's their freight. And we were just talking about, I was explaining to them, no, it's your freight. If it's on your truck, the broker cannot hire somebody to unload it. They do not own the freight. They're not in possession of the freight. Only you can unload it. Am I wrong?
No, it's basically a paper trail. It's a legal paper trail in properly handling this for insurance purposes in case something happens. So here's how brokers work. Here's how lumpers work, like it or not. All right. So you show up at a U.S. Foods. U.S. Foods union says, look, I don't want my guys touching that freight because until we sign the paperwork, which we don't sign it until the end, that's not our freight. And if our guys get hurt unloading that, we don't want that to happen. That's the unions, okay? The company saying that. But the problem is that there's two separate contracts going on. So you have a rate con from the broker, but then you sign a contract with the shipper that says, I'm now taking possession of this freight, okay? It is now your freight. No one can take it off the truck. You legally could put it in storage if the person doesn't pay you and say, hey, I want to be paid COD, pay me or you're not getting your freight.
Well, there's some consequences that can come with that, though, too.
It's
not just that simple.
There is. I mean, there's definitely, but you technically, a cop can't say, no, go deliver it. It's your decision that to reap all the repercussions from the freight broker and the shipper, but no one can take it off your truck. Not even a police officer can take it off your truck. No one. But you're the only one that can release that freight. So when you get to that U.S. food service, you technically have to pay the lumper and give the lumper permission to take it off of your truck because you are now in charge of that freight. So that's why they pay you to pay them to take it off the truck.
Right.
It's just a paper trail to keep everything legal down the roads. Because if I pay them to take it off the truck, I'm taking possession of something that I can't take possession of. I can't do that. And the shipper's already released possession of it when he let you sign for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your freight. And
Right.
that lumper, unfortunately, you're in the middle. Only you can pay someone.
That's part of our responsibility, obligation as a carrier.
Correct.
Is it
And
the driver's obligation? No, not necessarily, but he's just the one that happens to be standing there,
Right.
processing it. Sterling had to bounce. He had a phone call. Thanks, Sterling. Appreciate
Yeah,
it for
no
super
problem.
chat.
Thanks.
What else are we talking about lately? So I talk a little bit about AB5, not a ton. I have strong opinions against it, possibly for very different reasons than other people. Some people are for it. Going back a ways, you and I had talked about the proper way to exchange freight, MC number to MC number.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot of bad information on YouTube about how to get around AB5 right now. Anything you want to say about that? I mean, we have to be careful how you don't just have the right to give other people freight. Even if you have a brokerage and a carrier, if the freight was tendered to the carrier and not the brokerage, you can't broker that freight out. What kind of mistakes or misinformation do you see being given out about AB5?
Yeah.
How to get around it?
I see a lot. Well, the business to business one with the control thing is one that I'm having an issue with drivers and carriers that have leased drivers and all that. That's obviously one that I do not agree with, because the carrier has to have control. I can't take control of your driver. I can't be in charge of that. But to understand how freight works, to understand that, the best way to understand this is when you go to buy a house, and if there's something wrong on that paperwork has to be like, hey, the number's wrong. It's not 110,000, it's 109,000. The only person that can change that paperwork is the bank, or is that person that you're getting the loan from, right? You can't just cross it off and change it. They have to go redo the paperwork and bring it back to you. Okay. Thank God he took his acid, because that way he can stay focused with us. So, all right. The same thing. If I issue a rate confirmation sheet with my MC number on it, and I issue it to your MC number, which is a carrier MC, you have to carry the freight. Hence, carrier MC. The only person that can reissue that to somebody else is me. I'm the originator of the contract, meaning I'm the brokering aspect of it. I'm the only one that can broker it. So if I go from my broker MC to a carrier MC, the only thing you can do is carry it, and it has to go on a truck with your MC number on the door. If it doesn't, it's fraud. What double brokering actually is fraud.
Just here's what I see people telling people to do to get around AB5.
Okay.
Because I don't think they understand the process, but it's hard to explain. It's hard to get people to understand this. So, if you're a driver leased on to a carrier right now in California, obviously that has been declared unacceptable. People are saying go get your own authority and then just haul loads for that carrier. Well, if that carrier received his load tenders to his carrier,
correct,
he cannot give you that load. He has to go back to his customer and say, you need to retender me that load to my brokerage.
Correct.
If he does not have a brokerage, he cannot give you that load. Just because he has a brokerage does not necessarily mean he gives you that load. The load has to come back. It has to be retendered from the shipper to his brokerage. He cannot just take loads that were tendered to his carrier and broker them out because he has a brokerage.
Correct.
That's not proper. So he has to, in effect, have permission from the shipper to broker out their loads. Now, I have direct customers that would never allow me to broker out their loads, even though I have a brokerage. So it's not just quite that simple either. Right. So that the shipper has to agree to it.
Yeah, and
which they probably will, not necessarily, but they have to back up a step, and things have to kind of be redone here. And I think that's kind of getting missed in the process here.
Yeah, if a customer sends you, let's say you have two companies. Let's say you have company Great Shipping Transportation with a carrier MC and Great Shipping Logistics with a broker MC.
Okay.
At that point, if the customer sent it to Great Shipping Transportation has to carry it. There was actually a lawsuit that C.H. Robinson's was sued for like $1 million because the shipper they just thought that C.H. Robinson was going to carry it, and that C.H. Robinson did not tell them they were a broker. They were sued for $1 million in an accident.
Well, they didn't. They didn't do their homework then either.
Right. Well, as a freight broker, you have to say, I am a freight broker. I am not a asset-based one, or I am just a freight broker. I do not have trucks. I have to make sure my shipper is fully aware of that. That's what you have to do as a freight broker. I'm trying to think of it. It's not Spalding. It was C.H. Robinson verse. I'll pull it up and put it on my community page. So as a carrier, you must carry it. You must carry it. If I assign it to your carrier, it's as simple as my broker MC gives it to your carrier MC. It's on the contract. The MC number is a carrier. Hence, you have to carry it. You cannot rebroker it. You can't give it to a friend. You have to, that trucking company has to carry it. If it doesn't, it's technically fraud. I gave it to you. You were supposed to do it.
It's not double brokering. It's basically brokering without authority.
It's right. It's fraud. Yeah, it's your commit. You're right. Absolutely, it's fraud, and that's actually what
it never went through a brokerage.
Correct. It never went. At one time, you could broker freight through a carrier, but they switched that. Now there is still something in the FMCSA called trip leasing, but trip leasing is when technically you're still carrying it, but you're now leasing onto that carrier for one load.
Yeah, but if you're
now
trip leasing, you have to change the name on your door.
Correct.
You have to change the name on the permits. It's not just as easy as signing a trip leasing contract. That's what people don't understand.
No, it's a full lease. Like technically,
trip leasing is complicated.
Right. You are leasing that truck on 100%, but you're only going to do one load, but you have to put him on like he's going to do 100 loads. You have to cover the insurance. You have to do the drug test. He has to be in that system of, well, he doesn't have to have, if he's an LLC, he wouldn't have to have a driver thing, but the LLC would have to keep a driver's application. It has to be just like you're leasing them on. There's no simple.
I don't even like the fact that people present trip leasing as an option, because 99 times out of 100, it's going to be done wrong.
Right. And insurance,
I'd almost prefer that people just forget about it.
Yeah. And insurance companies don't like that. They don't want you to put a truck on and pay like a month's worth or a day's worth.
My insurance company wouldn't even allow it. They told me if anything like that is ever done, you pay for the full month on that piece of equipment.
Correct.
And why would I pay for a full month of insurance for a one-day trip?
Correct.
That'd just be foolish.
I have people like Progressive that won't allow you to trip lease at all. I think Progressive basically, I've actually called them and asked and spoke with some people, and because I wanted to do it. He wouldn't come on for an interview because he wasn't able to. But he basically said, if we find out that it was a trip lease one thing, and they signed a trip lease contract, because they will look into it. You know what I mean? And that is something that, it's going to be found. They won't cover the load. They won't cover it under a trip lease. But do I agree with AB5? I don't
just for fundamental reasons, Ed. I think it interferes with people's rights, free association. As long as you're not breaking a law to do business with who you want to do business. It interferes with small business, and that's what built this country.
Yeah, in my opinion, at some point we have to stop. Businesses are going to fail. You're going to fail. It's your job to learn the business so you don't fail.
That's how a lot of people learn the business, is through the subcontractor business model in every industry. I like to just take trucking out of it and look at it through any other business model, or all of them.
Right.
We all do it. It's like, look at builders. They subcontract practically everything out. It's how business gets done. Even big businesses. Look at Silicon Valley. All the independent contractors that they use to build networks and write software and all of this. Why should people not be allowed to do that if everybody's satisfied with the deal they got. I guess, it's
Yeah,
if you don't like it, you can quit. It's voluntary.
right. And I see the issue of evading taxes or whatever, but it's like,
I don't.
guys,
It's
you
not
guys,
our duty to pay any more taxes than we're obligated to pay.
right? I mean, they didn't. The independent. My point. So my point was, the independent contractor didn't write the tax laws. They didn't write. You know what I mean? It's like as long as they're doing what. However, if there's a loophole, there's a loophole. They
Yeah,
didn't.
let's
create
not
the
forget they
loophole.
work for us. We don't work for them.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know.
Right. No, I get it. People, both sides get very passionate about it. I just, for the most part, I'm like, hey, if you're not hurting anybody, I'm not here to take your rights away.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like I said. Unfortunately, you fail. If you fail, then you learn. And you either decide if you want to learn from your failure and do it again, or walk away and do something else. I mean, that's just. I don't know what to tell you. It's not a. This isn't a safe space. Trucking is not a safe space.
Well, nothing is. Nothing should be. I mean, we have to allow people to fail. That's how you learn
Correct.
and grow and rebuild. We're on it. CDN says if the carrier would need credit with both the carrier and the broker, many shippers won't like having to set up both. Easy for gray lines to be crossed. Yeah, that's why I've had shipper. I had one shipper that says, yeah, if you can help us cover our freight, just know that you're responsible for it. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. And then I have other ones that say no, we don't allow that. So it's everything's ultimately up to them, and I'm cool with that. And I get it. It's another contract they got to maintain. It's another credit line. It's another accounts payable they got to set up, and then it's puts a further distance between them and the delivery of their product. And when they have no problem getting carriers to do it, why would they broker it? It's a lot. Yeah, I fully get that.
Yeah, and for me, basically, all of my billing went through my brokerage, all of it. So when I sent my packet to a customer, they only saw my brokerage in regards to billing. So they only paid my brokerage. I paid my carrier through my brokerage. And what that allowed me to also do is if my truck broke down, and if the customer knew, obviously I had a brokerage, obviously, because they're paying mine. If my truck broke down, it gave me the opportunity to find another truck rather than have to go back to the customer and say, hey, you need to take this, you need to take this load back and give it to somebody else and blah, blah, blah. It allowed me to handle the whole thing. So when I ran both a broker and a carrier, I had, I basically only submitted my broker packet to the customer. But the customer knew I was an asset-based brokerage, meaning I was a brokerage that had a carrier and had trucks. And that's basically how I explained it to my, my customers. Everything went through my brokerage.
Yeah, for my close people that I've been doing business with for a while, I'll set up both, just because it costs me less money to have a load tender directly to my carrier than running it through the brokerage and then my carrier, because I'm some different contracts I have as far as factoring and stuff.
Right.
So if I'm putting a load on my truck, it's tendered to my carrier. If I'm going to put it on somebody else's, it'll tender to the brokerage, and then I always have the option to put it on my truck.
What happens then? Just quick question: if something happens where your truck breaks down, you're giving it back to your customer, saying you're going to have to put somebody else on this.
If it's tendered to my carrier,
yeah.
We've had that scenario, and they understand that they only deal with small carriers, so, and we all kind of know each other, so it's like, hey, if I could give you this load back, my truck broke down. My buddy Jim said he could take it if you could just take it back from me and give it to him. Some of that happens, or we work it out. We have a pretty good working relationship that way.
And even if you know somebody and you trust somebody that has a trailer interchange insurance, and you're okay with them toting your trailer, because let's say the truck broke down. It's easier to just say, hey, I've got, I have a trailer interchange agreement hooked to the trailer, and then go back to the customer and say, hey, I'm going to put it under this guy. He's going to submit can you submit a Raycon or whatever to him for blah, blah, blah money, which might be half. It might be whatever you guys work.
Or they would be satisfied, and I've done this, have them take it back from the carrier and tender it to my brokerage. I've done that. They don't have a problem with it.
Right. And that's, like I said, so that's when I set it up, it all went through my brokerage, and then I went down to my carrier with it.
My issue is if by contract, every load that I take through the brokerage, I'm obligated to run through the factoring company, and that costs me a percentage of the load.
Right.
I would rather not
Right.
put every load through there. Although it would help me build credit for the brokerage, but there's a price associated with that.
Right.
We're finally starting
Uh,
to move some loads here. You've probably seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It takes it takes time. Like I said, it takes time and salesmanship, basically getting in there. Just can you pull up CBN under
Oh,
AB5 to
sorry.
say the
Hold on.
factoring?
Right here. Seems
No.
this one?
Under AB5, you could say that factoring is illegal as AR and AP is a standard Department of Business. But the way they look at it is in a trucking, that would be true if you were a back office company. If that was your sole, for a carrier, your sole, technically, the reason you exist is to haul freight as a carrier. It's not to do the AP aspect of it.
Actually, I would say something a little bit differently about that. Is at least the way as it functions for me.
Okay.
It wouldn't be subcontracting for me. It would merely just be a credit service because they don't do any of my AR or AP.
Correct.
Not 1 second of it. I still bill the customer,
Correct.
and then
Thank
I
you.
send a copy of that to the factoring company, and the only thing they would do is on a line of credit front that money to me. They don't. I suppose technically you could make a case for AR because they then receive the payment from the customer, but I still do all the accounting on it. I mean, they're just merely being reimbursed for the money that they fronted me. So I kind of see it how it functions for me is this is merely a line of credit.
Correct. And same with
For the
me.
carrier, I don't even use it.
Yeah, same with me. For me, it's just I do all my own invoicing. I send it. They receive the check. But at this point, mine's also a bank. So my
Yeah.
my factoring company.
Yeah, we use the same factoring company.
But and the other aspect is it would be more of that would be more of a problem, I would think, with outside collection companies and the factoring company, because
Well,
both of them are
I
in
could
the same thing.
I could also maybe see if you were an agent for a brokerage,
Yes.
and then they were truly in charge of AR and AP. You just submit everything, and then they handle it as part of your 60-40 split or 70-30 split, whatever you're on.
Yeah.
And I get, that's the thing too, where this can change it's so complex because nobody's situation is going to be the same as anybody else's. That's
Right.
another part of the problem is these one size fits all things are usually turn out to be a bunch of garbage.
Correct. And it's one of those, like I said, at that point, it's like you have to kind of look and say, okay, what is the aspect of the business? If the business is trucking, then you can't hire other people to haul freight. If that's your main thing, it's your main source of income. What is the purpose in regards to you being out there and you making money? And in trucking, it's trucking. In construction, it's construction. You know what I mean? So if you're a construction company, you hiring on independents to swing hammers could fall under that. But do the salespeople fall under that? So it's one of that.
The law is clear as mud, because then like you said, you can go down the line and put this test on all these different positions, and it just gets murky as hell. Yeah, go ahead. Cash, thanks for a $10 super chat. He says thanks, great conversation. If you're learning something, be sure to support the host. Tip your host. Yeah. Let me back up. I missed a bunch here. It seems the FMCSA will need to add in a course and test to pass at minimum 80% just to apply for either carrier or broker MC. Honestly, all joking aside, I wouldn't be opposed to some kind of basic standardized test, because for crying out loud, some of these people that open a brokerage, I don't think they could tell you what an 18-wheeler looks like. If you're in Pakistan or India or wherever, you know nothing about U.S. logistics. You don't know any of your obligations as far as what we're talking about here, taking possession of the freight, obligations to pay. I wouldn't be opposed to some kind of testing like that. It might help rather than just all you need is a $75,000 bond. Ronald's asks Sage about the Massachusetts law. Okay, yeah, we can talk about that a little bit. I don't know if he's up on that. We talked about it way back, probably a year ago, We'll touch on that when he comes back. Get rid of the income tax. Not really opposed to that. Okay, we covered that. With both feet, exactly why I want a brokerage. Eventually I can see the load through and solve issues on my own to complete the load for the customer. It gives you a little flexibility, honestly, and it can help you build a small carrier. My only real intention at the time of when I opened mine was to book loads for my carrier and provide a little flexibility in that if I had some freight I couldn't cover, that we could cover it through the brokerage and still serve the customer and work on that relationship. That's kind of evolved a little bit with what we're doing with Paul. And we got some time under our belt. We're starting to have some traction here. Snorlords, did you hear Eric is sending both of us a portable green screen? No, I did not know that. He's very generous. Uh-oh, Sterling's been loaded at the door for almost an hour waiting on paperwork. Blaming the broker. Brother Craig wants Eric's green screen in the living room. CDN, correct, but when a customer or broker does not pay, the factoring company is still calling to collect. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Mine doesn't. If it gets to be a long time, they might step in and offer to make a phone call for you. But essentially, obligation, payment is still up to me. That may be different at every factoring company, but they too will, fall in line with certain. This is. I wish Eric was here. I want to say this, but I'll say it anyway. This is one thing. We can sit here and have these conversations all day, but I'm still of the mindset of get in the damn truck and go to work. Put your boots on and frickin' go to work. Some of the details just got to work themselves out. If we worried about obeying every little rule and regulation, nothing would ever freaking get done. It really wouldn't. So at a certain point, you get in the, what do they call it, the paralysis analysis. Just step away and go to work. Put your head down and go at it. CDN, so while a factoring company might be perceived as a bank, but you sign an NOA and factoring company sends the invoice and POD to broker or shipper equals accounts receivable. See, but I don't do it that way. I invoice. I do the invoicing of the broker and shipper. My factoring company doesn't do that for me. Notice of assignment, I send with the invoice. That means that I've assigned that payment to the factoring company, and that instructs the broker or shipper to pay them exclusively. But I still do all the invoicing. I don't know if everybody does it that way, but that's what I do. Are you back, Eric?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. See, and that's another problem with AB5 is it can be applied. Like I said, I'd take trucking out of it, and it's just everything. So you can apply it. You could apply it in just all kinds of zany ways to everything. You could say to the state of California, well, you're using subcontractors to build your roads. You need to make them. Not only are you using subcontractors, you use the same ones all the time. Therefore, they're state employees. So let's get them on the state pension fund and blah blah blah. It's just not applied. And it never will be applied well.
Right. And the issue is.
And I hate to use the word fair because that's just.
That don't happen.
Nothing's fair.
Right. And the issue is they decide if you are, and then it's your job to go in and prove you're not.
Yeah, that kind of violates the whole innocent until proven guilty thing. It's right. The burden of proof is supposed to be on them.
You would think. So
there's just a million problems I have with it, honestly. And we could get into the details, and it's just. It's ridiculous.
It's also how we file. Like, so if I sign up and if I list myself, what business are you in when you do your LLC? I'm in trucking. I'm in logistics, right? We all categorize ourselves in an industry that we're in. So if I'm in trucking and I hire another company that also categorizes themselves under their LLC as trucking, then they're going to look at that, right? They're not going to look at every back office, in my opinion. They're not going to look at every back office aspect of trucking. They're going to look at, okay, how is this? What is this company? This company is filing taxes as a trucking company and writing off trucking expenses. And this company is a trucking company writing off trucking expenses. These two are trucking companies. We're going to look at that. At that point, they're not going to look at the back office of how I make my money. They're going to look at what category did I place my LLC in, and what category did this person place their LLC in, and there's the connection.
Snorlord says you're sending us both portable green screens.
Yeah, why don't you have a green screen?
I do have a green screen. I'm just too lazy to put it behind me since I discovered this
He has
virtual green screen.
I had to hang up green screens all over my wall.
I don't have necessarily a ton of space in my office here. It needs to be rearranged and redone. WCF Invader, how do I get proof I paid and filed my 2290, mailed in the form and paid like you showed in the video, but I need proof I paid it? You will get one back in the mail, a stamped copy, so that the page with the VIN number on it and your category, it'll get one back in the mail with a diagonal line through it and a stamp on it. That's the one you get to get your plate. And if you think it's taken too long, it's been more than, I don't know, a month, there's a fax. If you go back in the instructions, there's a fax number you can fax a request to for them to send you the copy sooner. Ronald says, how did it come about the 30, 60, 90-day pay, as we individuals have no such option to pay our bills besides credit card? Yeah, but it's nothing special.
How did it come?
But it's what they've agreed to over the course of time. On the personal level, yeah, I agree. We don't have that option, but businesses routinely operate that way.
Yeah, there are some contracts that say we're not going to pay you until we get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are always like denied.
Or if we get paid.
If we get paid. Yeah, that's another aspect of it.
Yeah. If you filed for it in July there, Finvader, it's a little early yet. They are slow. They absolutely are slow. It says put an Uber sign on it and now you're an Uber driver. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, you can do that.
Yeah, well, you were going, I was saying, in regards to all these things, sometimes like we can talk about these details and go back and forth about them forever, but I just kind of feel like at a certain point you put your boots on and go to work. The work, none of this ever matters unless we get the work done. So we got to concentrate as hard on that as all these other things. Pop Tart said the woman's bathroom in the truck stop got invaded by a man. Why they shouldn't allow that? I don't think that is allowed. I don't know. Every state is different now, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll want to get your channel banned with my opinion on that, which I probably would, because it's definitely not the opinion of everybody else.
No, mine isn't either. Mine isn't, but I pick and choose my battles.
Yeah, so that's kind of one that I don't want to get you tossed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So what other problems did we not address today? I guess it's been a while. Anything else you want to say? Looks like you changed the format of your channel. It's doing well. Do you want to promote it at all?
You're getting big, pretty big also. Well, I got a show coming up Friday with a guy, and I'm going to do a promo video. Me and my co-host are going to do an interview, and he blew up. He's got like 360,000 subscribers. And me and him are going to do an interview. Me and my co-host are going to do an interview with him on Friday. He ex-military, knows a lot, high-end, military type stuff. And I'm going to do a video, so I don't want to give it away too much.
Are you having Jocko Willink on your channel?
No, not yet. Why, you want me to reach out to him?
Are you having David Goggins on your channel?
Nope, not him yet either.
Who's that other guy I know? Matt? Was it Matt Barnes? No, Matt Eisenman? I can't remember.
Nope, hang on. Let me do this password real quick. Nope. Its first name starts with an R.
Yeah, I don't know. So are we going to run out of diesel or what? We're going to run out of DEF or what?
DEF is obviously, we all know, I mean, everybody knows the story. DEF is basically a fertilizer. And right now, countries are holding back fertilizer, and that was an issue. Now, I heard that we were going to run out of oil in 8 weeks, and that was about 8 weeks ago. In regards to being able to change your oil. The biggest problem that happened with diesel fuel was refineries, right? So in their infinite wisdom in 2012, there was even a report that came out in 2012 that basically said, hey, the East Coast refineries, we need to build more. We can't turn them off. We can't shut them down. In Pennsylvania, they had one shut down because of a fire. And we did not have enough refineries. So our answer was, well, we can just get oil from Russia and get that cheap, and that can supply our East Coast. We said, oh, brilliant. Let's do that. So we were getting oil from Russia. Most of the oil from Russia went to the East Coast. Well, when that stopped, we basically said, how do we now get this oil that we have here up to there, because we don't have the refineries to keep up. So that was one of the main issues we were having. And then, of course, we went begging to places like, I don't know, Venezuela and Iran, which, good luck, good job there to try to get that oil in there. But refining the oil was a big deal. And now with freight volumes dropping and trucks dropping off and not as much, obviously, oil's down a little bit. It's more of an issue of getting things to where they got to be. The rail service is having issues with that. Some of the stuff I do believe we're shutting down because if America says, hey, we're not shipping this out anymore, the world's going to go into chaos. So we got to kind of do it in a sneaky way rather than just other countries that can say, hey, we're not shipping fertilizer anymore for the next 6 months. If we start doing that, it'll put the world in panic. And I think some of the stuff that we're saying we have shortages here or we have a problem here is basically us saying we're not going to ship this out. We're going to hold on to this like everybody else. Because we're
going to run out of beef now or what?
I don't know. I'm vegan, so I've been vegan for 16 years. But I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't even like vegans. But
could I interest you in some beef jerky?
No, I'm trying to cut back. But no, it's getting up there, and I think a lot of the stuff had to do also with transportation costs, right? Transportation costs raise the price of everything.
The drought in the South has not been good for the beef this year. They're starting to kill them off, sell them. They can't feed them or water them. So we went through a chicken problem this summer, chicken and turkey, poultry. And then, they said swine flu was popping up again, but I didn't really see any interruption in the pork market. But they're saying that we got a tough interruption in the beef market coming up this fall.
Yeah, it's bad when I mentioned this about a year ago, and I started to talk about things that happened before World War II with the rationing and the lockdowns and the curfews. That all happened before World War II. And then when you went to World War II, of course, that was also happening in England because they had, air raids and stuff like that. But a lot of that seems to be preparation now for what was coming. And I don't know. I mean, when a president comes out and says, hey, yeah, you're going to have some food shortages, that's a big deal, right? That's the last thing
they never admit anything.
Yeah.
So for them to preemptively admit it, they're conditioning you for something.
Yeah, that's a monstrous deal when you hear the president of the United States of America tell people there's going to be food shortages. That's not something you ever want to hear. That we're looking into this. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen and stuff like that. But you never want to hear that, and it happened.
Well, I think that the average person is, and to an extent, I'm probably a little bit guilty of this because I've largely turned off the news because it'd be a bunch of nonsense and noise. The average person doesn't really have a lot of information on what's going on in the rest of the world in some of these countries. With the economic problems they're having, you take like a Sri Lanka,
right,
and a lot of the countries in that region.
Yeah,
it's dire. It's dire circumstances.
Yeah, and one of the things Sri Lanka did was basically they said, hey, we're going to go to all... Okay, Sri Lanka basically said, we're going to go and we're not going to do a lot of trading out. We're going to do organic growing. We're going to do organic farming. And one of their main things that they exported was food. And when the new president came in and said, hey, let's go all organic, let's do all this, let's do that, and they didn't export enough, money wasn't coming into the country. So they ran into a problem that they weren't making enough money and shipping enough stuff out that they basically collapsed within. They imploded. And you're seeing this implosion right now of well, we can't get this. Well, why not? Well, we don't have the money to buy it.
Well, a lot. Boy, these are some. I don't want to go down a lot of these roads because they could just go all day about currency crisis and all that. But a lot of these countries that are having these problems also cannot print their own currency.
Right.
So
correct.
you lose your sovereignty, you've lost everything.
Correct.
What happened? All Greece. What was the other one over there? Right next to Greece that had the problem a few years ago. Sri
Oh.
Lanka.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of the one. I can't remember. It's
Sicily. Was it Sicily?
Well, Italy's in trouble too right
Yeah.
now.
Whatever it was, I can't remember. Common story between all of them is most of them were not able to print their own currency. You're at the whims of somebody else.
Right.
And hey, whatever happens, happens.
Look at your phone.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know if that was an important thing. Okay. Yeah, and that's the other issue too like I said, when I did the interview with Siobhan Fleet, who lived during the Cultural Revolution, and she's talking about the Great Famine in China, and she's talking about she was lucky that she was able to get into a school that was like an orphanage, but a lot of people weren't, and they ended up turning to cannibalism to basically stay alive. And that was, this is the type of stuff that this was back in 1957 was the flowers. So 1958, 59 area, which, isn't some people, it's not that long ago thinking that a whole country like China was turning to cannibalism to eat. That's, if you actually think about that for a second, that's a big deal. And I don't think people realize decisions that are being made and money and stuff like that you lose that. Like I said, people don't understand that we're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Democratic republic.
Correct. And it's like, we're just not a straight democracy. What are you talking about? Electoral college. I'm like, you guys don't understand. How do we not understand civics?
People don't know what the 4th of July is, dude. You're not gonna get them to understand our form of government. You ever watch this guy named Mark Dice when he goes onto the beach in Venice, California, and asks these people, what he'll have a gold bar in one hand and a Hershey bar in the other hand, and say you could pick whichever one you want for free. And 10 out of 10 times they take the Hershey bar.
Right.
It's just blows your mind. But
to me, it's amazing not understanding of like the electoral college. It's like, we got to get rid of that. Well,
that's what keeps you having a voice.
Correct.
If you got rid of that, you have nothing.
Right. That's what keeps states. Then I don't even need to go to a state and even win that state, because who cares? There's not enough people there.
You have about 7 states that will determine the fate of the whole country. The
Correct.
rest of you will have no say in anything.
And California is one of them. Do you guys want California determining the state? I don't want California.
Sterling says all the world's problems could be solved with a long-form interview with Hunter Biden. If you set that up, I will do said interview.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I'll reach out to Hunter Biden, see if I can get him on. I don't think he'll come on, but
supposedly now I'm woke and inclusive, having a vegan on my channel.
Are you? Yeah, that's a good possibility. And look, I'm not. Look, for me, it's like I'm vegan, you're not. I don't care, right? I'm not that guy. I'm not that vegan.
I know.
It's like it's just what I choose to eat. For me, it's like I don't give a crap.
Look, I'm withdrawal here. I'm about 35 minutes without a dick joke. So Cash isn't here, so we're gonna find some other things. Snorlord says, I've seen that video. That's how addictive sugar is. Which video are we talking about? I don't know.
I'd have to go down and see which one he's talking about. What happened to Cash? What's Cash driving?
He is preoccupied. He is working. He's a man with a job.
Is he? Oh, on acid. That's interesting.
Different strokes for different folks.
Very true. Exactly. Probably gets more done. Probably gets a ton done.
Has a lot more fun doing it.
Yeah, and has a lot more fun doing it since he sees,
Oh, he's talking about the silver versus the candy bar.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah, I did see that. But then again, he goes down and does all kinds of stuff. Dice,
Yeah, but it's all a social commentary on the ignorance of the American people.
Yeah. And it's
not you'd like to think it's all young people, but it's not. It's a perfect blend of it's a microcosm of society.
And I don't know. He's in Southern California too, so I don't know.
You can't say it's for lack of education. They have two of the country's best universities there.
Correct.
More than 2.
It's not like you're deep in the woods of some, you know what I mean? He's Southern California on main areas and talking to main people. I don't know.
They fancy themselves enlightened and educated. Oh yeah, Ron, sorry, I had to come back to this. So if you remember probably a year ago, Sage, we talked just at the beginning here about this Massachusetts law. I
Yeah.
don't know if you got into it all. They were supposed to have it decided by today. I just got an email on it that
Did it go?
it's not decided.
How-
Which
so
is
they're-
good for us. Anything Ron wants to know if you have anything to say about that or add to it.
So that we're going to be taxing by the mile, basically, just for the privilege of driving in the state of
No,
Massachusetts.
the Massachusetts one is a sales tax.
Oh, it's considered a sales tax.
The Connecticut one is a tax per mile.
Oh, okay. I'm confusing the two then. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an interesting one. So the Massachusetts one was a sales tax in regards to the price of your trucks.
Rolling stock, trucks, trailers, things related to that. So
Yeah.
if let's say I'm in Wisconsin, right, and I pay no sales tax on trucks because there's no sales. We have a rolling stock exemption here.
Right.
If I was to travel through Massachusetts, and they have what's called this nexus test, where if you have property there, you have employees, you have independent contractors, blah blah blah, that you can be held to owe sales tax to the state of Massachusetts on that equipment. So I would have to pay if I traveled 1 mile in the state of Massachusetts and I had an employee there, I would have to pay the whatever $15,000 of sales tax I would owe on my truck for traveling 1 mile in the state of Massachusetts. Now you can say, well, I don't live there, doesn't matter. I don't this, doesn't matter. And apparently they're not fairly applying that nexus test to all the different carriers. Now this has been taken to court by some big carriers and they have all lost. So it's kind of a big thing. It could be a very expensive tax on truckers.
And it only affects you if you go to Massachusetts.
Yes, but it's already retroactive. This law was passed in 1986. They just haven't applied it. They're trying to come up with a way to cover a budget shortfall for something else they want to spend money on.
Stop going to Massachusetts.
Well, if you have, it's too late already. Wouldn't even matter.
Because they're going to retroact. How would they possibly? How would they
You file IFTA taxes? You file a quarterly IFTA tax every quarter that tells you exactly how many miles you traveled in Massachusetts.
From 1986, they're running it. They're gonna. How they think they're gonna get the money from 1986?
Who knows how far back they'll go? But I would say probably at least back into the 90s.
Wow.
And if you're a company that has 10,000 trucks and over the last 20 years you traded in another 15, 20,000 trucks, if you had to go back and pay tax on all this, you're talking millions of dollars, and that's what it has been to some of these mega carriers. And they've tried to negotiate their settlements down with no success.
Well,
it has the potential to be very bad.
Yeah, it definitely does have the potential. So basically, all I can see is a lot of trucking companies going bankrupt and possibly starting under another name. That's we're bankrupt. This trucking company is going bankrupt. I open up a new LLC that's never gone to Massachusetts and stop going to Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my plan. As basically say, I don't know what to tell you.
You take a large company. That's no easy task.
It's not, but it is the decision that
Plus, it doesn't free you from the obligation of what you owe them. It could free you from further obligation.
Correct. But you're going to see, like I said, this is all knee-jerk situations. If large companies if they're going to make drastic laws, then you're going to see drastic actions by trucking companies. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see them basically say, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot more overseas trucking companies using virtual addresses. They're just going to be like, come get me.
That's one of the things that drives me nuts in this industry right now. There's way too much of that going on already.
That's what you're going to start to push. You're going to start to push an overseas company, get a virtual address here, and then they're going to go ahead and they're going to do this. And then what's going to happen? Well, you didn't pay.
Pump and dump it. They run it until they can't run anymore. Absolutely. And then they dump it and start a new one. They're already doing that. A lot 100%. Of brokerages are doing that. They run until they max out their bond and then they dump it and get a new one.
Absolutely.
Under a new name. And until the FMCSA does something about that, I say no more of any kind of regulations on us or anything in trucking until they fix that, because they damn sure know about it.
Oh, I agree.
They damn sure know about it.
I agree. Freight brokerages do not have to have a physical address, technically. I believe you should, but they don't have to, right? A carrier...
And most of them are Southern California, so they use the same addresses over and over again.
Correct. But my opinion with that is freight brokers should have to. It's like dispatchers having to become brokers and things like that, or because of this thing of freight. I wouldn't even mind a test and having to carry us. If you guys can carry a CDL, I should have to take some type of, could be an online course, some type of certification, something that can be yanked. But I
At
don't
least
believe.
to understand the rules, if
Correct.
nothing else, to understand that you have to pay. I mean, you don't take possession of the freight. You don't do this. You do that. You
Correct.
understand your obligations.
Right.
There's not even any of that. Like literally anybody in this chat could go on FMCSA website, file for brokerage authority, pay a bond unless your credit is too bad that you can't get a bond, and bam, you are in business as a freight broker. You don't even have to have insurance.
Right.
You should. You don't have to.
Yeah, and I don't mind the vegan jokes. I'm cool with it. But basically, for me, I just see a lot of that. There are times too when I'll post a load, and I'll have a dispatch company call me that barely speaks English. I'm not giving you my freight. I'm not giving you my freight.
If we can't communicate, we can't do business.
Correct.
It's too important. There's too much liability and too much money involved. I'm sorry. If we can't communicate, we can't do business.
If the FMCSA or the government can't come in and say, listen, here's my problem with this, and you guys all have to understand this, right? I say this over and over. You are not just in a trucking company. You are not just in the trucking industry. You are in an infrastructure industry. It matters. Logistics matters. Logistics is a part of the Defense Production Act. It's something that there was an executive order. I posted it that they took over trucking companies and said, you will haul freight. I can't remember the executive order. I'd have to pull it up. You are not just in an industry. If logistics shut down, the whole country will shut down. You can't just leave openings and loopholes for other countries to have access to an infrastructure industry within your country.
We're letting them buy land in North Dakota surrounding military bases for crying out loud in violation of the law. There it is. There is no law they will not selectively uphold.
Right.
Or
that
not
is
uphold.
The biggest thing. It is an unbelievable. It drives me insane that one of the ways you win and lose wars with logistics, and yet we're allowing other countries to come in and basically control the logistics of our country.
We're not allowing it. We're inviting it.
We're inviting it. That's even a better word. Yes, we are absolutely inviting it. And now you want to create something from Massachusetts that I'll find a loophole. I know what my loophole is. I got a buddy in Ukraine. I'll have him open up a trucking company. And then what are you going to do, Massachusetts? What are you going to do to him? He's not even in this country. Good luck. Shut it down. He goes bankrupt, and you got nothing.
Start a new one tomorrow.
Or nobody goes to your state.
That'll never happen. People still go to Oregon. They still go to California, New York, New Mexico, Kentucky.
They might not be able to afford to if they do this rolling the sales tax. They literally might not be able to afford to. I mean,
what people don't understand is you can not go there going forward, but if you went in the past, it's too late.
Right. And if that's your plan, if that's the plan for Massachusetts, put me on the hearing, because I will literally show them the best way to get around that, and I will sell that to companies around the world and show them, hey, Massachusetts, watch this.
Sounds like you're about to disappear.
Allegedly, yeah. Poof, gone. I mean, how do you not? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
That's what they do. You find loopholes, and when they find it's called lawfare. It's a way. It's one of the 24 or 16 ways that unrestricted warfare written by two colonels from China, and one of them is called lawfare. They use our laws against us to basically take our country down. Perfect example was TikTok. Trump comes in and says, no more TikTok. They're stealing data. Chinese company hires a lawyer and says, boom, you can't restrict freedom of speech here. Bam, TikTok's back again.
You take away my TikTok, where am I going to watch them hot blonde girls shake their asses?
And give out data to nothing but China. I don't know what to tell you.
Thank God for YouTube's.
Yeah. TikTok would probably ban me because I'm not China friendly.
I've never been on TikTok. I don't know a thing about it.
I don't either. I think I have one just to throw some stuff, but it doesn't go well. I'm barely figuring out shorts. Look at me. Do you think I can talk for 60 seconds and hang up? No. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do a YouTube short? I'm trying to figure them out now. I struggle with them. They're painful.
Okay.
I can't talk for 60 seconds and hang up. Who does that?
I'm not sure you can stop talking after an hour, to be perfectly honest with you.
Absolutely. I don't think I can. We have to set up a speed question thing. That was actually good. That's a good idea. I want to even might do
I
that.
had some, but I forgot them because I keep trying to throw funny stuff in there, and then I just blank out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. That's actually good. I'm gonna get a bunch of questions. Have a speed question show. Nothing but
There you go.
rapid fires. I don't know. What are you looking at? What's freight looking like on your end? I mean, how are brokers looking on your end? Are they looking that they're more?
Stinks. It's a lot of things are changing. A lot of things need to change. It's tough. I mean, it's just this. I guess I'm not as upset about it as a lot of people because it's the cycle. I mean, if people, if you were new to this owner operator thing in the last 2 years, you just I know you say it, but you just can't possibly understand how good things were.
Yeah.
Like it has never even been remotely close to this. Like this is more normal than that. People, there's no freight and this and that, and the rates suck. This is normally how it is.
Right.
Freight is not, or fuel is not normally $7. I'll grant you that.
Yeah, we'll give you that one.
But volume is usually not like that. It's more like this, and rates are more usually normally like this than it was that. Am I saying it's right? No, it's not right. If fuel is $7, we need more money per mile.
Right.
But I guess I'm not quite as surprised by it. It was easy to see coming.
Well, where are you seeing brokers making changes and phone calls and I mean, do you see any of that?
Absolutely.
What's the conversations now kind of with the bro? Are they kind of questioning who you are and what's, stuff like that also?
There is not nearly as much forgiveness. They are way quicker to file a freight claim, hit you with a late fee, whatever, right? There's not a lot of them. It's not a lot of negotiations going on. My list of people who I call and do business with is very small because we have very honest conversations.
Right.
And I know those lanes very well, and I know those people. We were honest before, we're honest now. And the fact that, as a small brokerage, we talk to customers. I know shippers are not, they're not wanting to pay right now.
Right.
I know they will leave it sit. I've experienced this firsthand. And I know brokers are cutting each other's throats to get the loads right now.
Yep.
Seen that happen firsthand. There's this shenanigans at every level.
It's and I tried to explain this on another show. We drivers just think it's an open checkbook to customers. It's not. It's not at all. There's times you can lose loads for $10 to a customer.
Absolutely.
And because somebody else came in, it is. And there's time. Well, you guys are keeping all the. I wish. There was one guy that thought I was charging 100 to 120% markup on my freight. On freight, brokers are charging that. So if you move a load for $1,000, you have $2,000 to $2,200 on it.
Yeah, I've given up trying to argue that with people or fight that mentality. Does it happen? Has it happened? Probably.
Sure.
Is it every load? Is it the rule, not the exception? Absolutely not.
Far.
Are brokers killing it right now? Some are. On some loads they do, some loads they don't.
Absolutely. Contracted freight is way up. Contracted freight right now, contracted freight is better than spot market freight.
Yeah, and they're going to use the spot market to bring that back down.
Right. Exactly.
They
contract breaks. They're going to say they're not going to sign contract. They're going to throw it on the spot market, and you got to mod there.
It's the same game played over and over and over again since the beginning of the spot market and all this technology, and it will be the same game played indefinitely.
Look, back when I'm just telling you, back when I first started, I was moving legal freight and stuff like that. There's times I would, I did it. There's times that if I see a load that I quoted, and I quoted $2,000 for it, and I see it on the load board for $1,000, I used to take a screenshot and send it to my customer and say, "Hey, he's trying to move it for $1,000. He's never going to get it moved." And I'd ask, what did he quote on it? Well, $1,200. I'm like, when he doesn't get it moved, please call me back. You know what I mean? And somewhere down the road, he takes the load and maybe he moves it for $15 and he eats the $300 to keep the customer on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because he's got the money in it. Because he's, something like that. He's a C.H. Robinson. But brokers are cutthroat. They are
Damn right.
loads.
They're trying to survive too. Volumes are down. Do you think it's the brokers driving volumes down? No. They have nothing to do with volume. They're a middleman. So when volumes are down, they got to compete with each other to get freight, and they will cut the hell out of each other's throats too.
Absolutely. I'm telling you right now, they're screenshotting the photos of the loads that they bid it on and sending them to the customer. Customers know.
Yes, there is contracted freight with brokerages too.
Yes.
But you know what? Contracts in the freight industry have a way of not holding up more than about a day sometimes. So if they contracted this freight last year for $5, $6, $7 a mile, possibly, to think that because they contracted it, they're still getting that now. No, the shipper will come back to them at the earliest point they can and say, you need to rebid this freight or we're giving it to somebody else. The fact that you have a contract means diddly squat.
Yeah, because right now, I think I pulled up contract freight through Sonar is like $2.96 a mile plus fuel. So that would be like $3.96. So it's probably up there around $3.95, $3.96 a mile right now with your fuel, approximately. Approximately, here or there.
Yeah, and like Sterling said, they're having trouble filling trucks out. I've seen a lot of that, not being able to fill full orders out.
Right. And that's and shippers are taking a beat. Look, it's simple. If truck drivers are out there killing it, somebody's getting killed. And it's the shippers. I mean, they have a budget. Their shippers are competing against other shippers. Manufacturing is competing against other manufacturers. Loads are breaking up. When you're dealing with manufacturing, your manufacturing costs are broken up and transportation costs are broken up. They're not combined. So that the company knows how much transportation cost and how much manufacturing cost, right? This is how businesses work. So, and they've done this to me. If a customer comes back to me and says, look, we can lower the manufacturing costs a little bit, but the other manufacturer is 500 miles closer, they're whooping us on transportation. Is there anything we can do on the transportation side? And I might say yes, I might say no, I might say, well, if we can put if you can make this one and this one, we can put that on one truck, but they have to go together. They have to take them at the same time, stuff like that. Because I deal with open deck.
Right.
But this is how businesses, and if you guys think that shippers don't make money on my costs, they do. They tack on $250 on it because they got to load the truck. They got to pay me before they get paid. They got to hire an accounts payable department.
If they're a food production, their chances are they're paying a cold storage place to store and reload and unload their product.
Right. Unload it, reload it. There's fees for that. These are all good. So when a shipper comes and says, hey, I need to save money here because I'm competing against other people and I'm losing. So you guys see what happens? There's layoffs. Do you think people companies lay off because they just don't like 100 people? No, they can't afford them. The
constant, this is nothing more than brokers screwing us mentality is going to get you nowhere.
It's not. It's
you're not gonna advance and progress if you're just stuck and you dig in hard on that mentality, because that just kind of shows you're not understanding the whole process.
And it's like I said, as a broker, it's real simple. I'm a salesperson, right? And sometimes I do sales. I knock on doors. I do that stuff to try to get an opportunity to move freight. If you don't, and I had this conversation with I'll say his name, with Just Trucking. Hire a salesperson. If you want freight, hire a salesperson. See how much that costs. Let me know, because I'll tell you what.
And if you can't, the broker's your salesperson.
Right. And if you can't, the broker's your salesperson. Because I'll tell you what, Just Trucking could not afford me. He could not afford me.
I don't know. I think he makes a lot of money, and you got a price.
He could afford you. Not right now. He couldn't. I'm under the Defense Production Act with the DOD. So,
I think you could be had for a bag of chips and $20.
No, well, chips depends. If they can't have any milk or stuff like that in them because I'm vegan, so they have to be vegan chips.
Sun chips. How about that?
Sun chips will work. But this is kind of what. Look, I'm just telling you, hire a salesperson, because when you deal with a company, you know what's funny too is that companies have CEOs, C-level executives. They're called. That's a CEO, CFO, all that stuff, right? Your next top paid person usually is your sales department and commission to your salespeople, because they bring money in to the company. They don't push money out. They bring money in. So you pay people to bring money in. And if they're very good, they make more money.
Mhm.
And
I've taken on a salesperson.
correct. And in trucking, I've done this a million times when I have this conversation. I will literally ask a truck driver, can I please speak to your sales department? Tow Piglet went down. One of the reasons Tow Piglet went down was one, insurance. But a long time ago, me and him had this conversation that said, who's your sales department? I don't have, me. Well, what are you doing? I'm underneath the truck right now changing brakes. Well, do you think changing those brakes and is you're doing the most of your time changing brakes, or should you be out there trying to get a customer and possibly bring in $1 million contract? Which is more, for your company? Which is better off for your company? Go out and knock on doors. And truck drivers, to me, it's like everybody gets into trucking and they look at the broker as, well, this is the jerk I have to get freight from. Well, then go feed yourself. I hire a salesperson and go feed yourself.
Mhm.
You can do it. You can get your own customers as a carrier. Why aren't you? And that just confuses me. That trucking, the biggest problem with one of the biggest problem with truck drivers is they don't realize, hey, you don't even have a sales department, and not a lot of businesses last a long time without it. McDonald's has a sales and marketing department. Do people not know who McDonald's is? That they need one?
Right.
And they still have one. Paul is a sales department.
Mhm.
Hire him if you want. Not you. Hire him. Hire a salesperson. Or bitch and complain that brokers are keeping all the money while you don't even want to invest in your own company into a salesperson for your own company. Think about that.
Oh, you're right.
I'm pissing a lot of drivers off. You can find here. I'll drop my channel so you can yell at me on my channel and comment if you want. But I'm just being honest with you guys.
We're in a trucking environment now where people have to acknowledge and understand these things. It's not do anything and make $7 a mile anymore. It's time now where it's trucking is a business, and there's more things like that are going to come up. This factoring company. I mean, now you got to worry about capital management. That's something we didn't have to worry about for the last 2 years. We got to worry about the people we do business with going broke.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We have to worry about they're slapping freight claims on people now. They're doing all kinds of these different things that we didn't have to deal with or weren't accustomed to for the last couple of years. But hey, now's the time because things aren't all sunshine and roses anymore.
Yeah, so, I have Wednesday. I normally do the logistics show. You're welcome to come on. I literally want to do a show that I basically say, dashboard's down, truck stops down, don't work anymore.
Can I have my email?
Yeah,
if I still have email, I can book loads. We're good.
All right. If you have email, now what do you guys do? You tell me how many?
I've suggested this a year or so ago of the 1 week challenge of 1 week. None of your loads can come from the load board. What do you do?
Right. Absolutely.
And it's a good exercise.
100%. 100%.
I think I went at the time I had 8 trucks, and I think I went 1 week where I booked 1 load off the load board. That's as close as I came.
Right.
And I thought that was a big win for a small company.
It sure is. I mean, but this is something that what happens if that goes down? I mean, where would some of you be? And this is something that you need. If you've been in business, I've been in business for 5 years. Fine, go a week, go a month off the load board. Okay. You see what I'm saying? You should be able to do that. And if not, if you're a company and you're a trucking company, hire a salesperson. That's what businesses do. They hire salespeople to bring money in. I don't know. I have, I guess, a different view. Look, I have a factory. I look at the triangle. I do operations. I do sales. I don't do my financing. So I have a factoring company that handles all of my financing because I don't have time to do all three. So for me, it's the triangle of business. I can do 2 of them very good, Just like you can do it cheap, you can do it fast, you can do it good, right? And there's that triangle. For me, it's finances, operations, and sales. I can do 2 of them very good, so I outsource my finances to my factoring company. Now, I have a fantastic rate, so if anybody's looking for, a great rate for factoring, hook me, reach out to me. I'm under 2. But that's the other thing too. You have factoring companies now going under. Factoring companies going under. I mean, again, mine's Triumph. They're a bank. They're big. But what happens if your factoring company goes under?
Well, that's things we didn't have to think about the last couple of years because money was just falling from the sky. It was everywhere.
Right. And that's just it. Anyways, skim milk. So vegan, is that like you have to drink skim milk? No, I drink milk from nuts. There you go. Makes sense.
Is that how you became nuts?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And yeah, like I said, the vegan thing is just by choice. So for me, it doesn't matter. Sage is correct. I'm lazy. I won't contact my own customers, and it shows in my and I've had this conversation too. And at some point, people are like all they want is big. No. All sometimes they want is honest, reliable people that can say, I've done this a couple times. You got don't go to Pepsi and think you're going to get Pepsi with one truck. Stop that. All right. Just go to a small place that might have 1 or 2 dock doors and just go in there and say, hey, I'm a 1 truck. I live in this area. I know I might not be your first choice. I might not be your second choice, but wouldn't it be better to have an exit plan and make me your 3rd or 4th choice? If I give you my card, I can shoot you an email saying I'm home and when I'm going to leave out. And if you need a truck, shoot me an email back. I'll shoot you a rate. I'll grab your load. I know I'm not going to be number 1.
I tell you what, that window has narrowed considerably also. It is hard, like even to get, in a customer right now. If you weren't already in, they don't need you so much anymore.
Right. Now
everybody we're calling is like, we have no trouble covering freight, and we have no interest in talking to anybody new right now.
And this was the problem.
And they're right.
I told people to do this when freight was booming. Do it when freight is booming. When people are coming out to you saying, hey, do it now. But people didn't. And even then, you can go and say, look, and this is the other thing with, let's say, DIY, right? You can go to DIY and say, look, I want to go to this customer, but I can't cover all their loads. If I can get in there and I want to haul that, but they have an extra one, can I hook you up like a tow truck and can you broker a load out for me? At least then it's going to somebody or Rob's in here. If anybody knows Rob and it's LTL freight or stuff that if you can be like, hey, Rob, I got a customer that I want to haul. I'm going to haul some of their freight direct, but they've got some other stuff. Are you interested in this?
Right.
In doing this? I have got freight by drivers that be like, hey, my main carrier.
We're actually, Paul and I, we've talked a lot about the direct freight over the last couple of years, and we haven't spoken a while. We're actually doing something now with the brokerage where people can come to us, if they have specific freight that they want, and we'll try to go and get it, and then they can, it's if we can take more loads, potentially a better benefit to them. We've actually had people turn us on to some places, we're moving just a little bit of freight, so we're starting to kind of get some traction, but not a great deal of success so far, because I tell you what, it is those gatekeepers, man, of locking that thing down.
Yeah, I did a day, and you guys I don't know if you watched this video, but I did a day that I made 12 calls and got 3 customers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier in open deck. And basically what I did during the boom time, because I'm like, dude, you guys got to do this now. Watch this. And I basically did this. I did clickbait. So I took a picture of a truck loaded with, let's say, metal fencing, right? And then I called and I emailed a bunch of metal fencing customers. And I said, hey, if you're looking for freight, or if you're looking for someone to help you move your freight, that's somebody that understands the difference between a contracted rate and a spot market rate, someone that's looking to build, to work with you, not for you, please go ahead and shoot me an email back. And left my contact information. And I said, this is the type of freight I move. And I stuck the picture of the metal fencing in that email. And I sent it to everybody in the company, hoping somebody would send it to the important person. And I got stuff back. And people were basically like, I thought that was our freight. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it was something I did. And at that point, it was clickbait. And I did this a long time ago when I first started my brokerage. I did this style of clickbaiting emails. And I also mentioned stuff in there that not every broker mentions. I understand the difference between contracted freight and spot market freight. And customers at that time were saying, fantastic. This guy understands that I don't want to pay a spot market price every single time. And most new brokers call and they say, hey, can I quote your freight? Can I quote your freight? Can I quote your freight? And it's like, dude, I don't need quote. I need networking. I need, pricing that's consistent. That's how I build businesses. And then the other thing I did was I said, look, I'm not looking for a short-term spot load situation. I'm looking to work with you, not for you. And that kind of says something different than most, new brokers that just call and say, can I? And it's like, shut up, kid. You know what I mean? It's that mentality. And now you're a little bit more professional than everybody else. The next thing I do is I call the sales department. I speak to your sales department, please. Sure. Boop, right through. And then I get a salesperson. I say, hey, Joe, this is John or whatever. I say, hey, John, I'm in this, logistics. I know you're not the normal person to call, but are you the type of company that you quote freight to customers and you also need quotes for the transportation of that freight? And a lot of times, they're like, yeah, I normally send that to the transportation guy to get quotes. I said, well, would you be interested in me shooting those quotes to you if you send them to me direct? Because I can get them right back to you faster than probably going through your transportation. And all I ask that is if it's a legitimate price, you can send it to your transportation guy. If it's something that you do win the bid and say, hey, this guy shot me a spot quote in an email. Is there any way, we can look at his stuff? And I've done that because salespeople like to talk. They're willing to talk. Gatekeepers stop you from talking to the person that doesn't want to talk to you in the first place.
Right.
So you got to find somebody that's willing to talk, and salespeople like to talk. But now doing it now is a different thing, is a different shot. Hey, okay, I know you're probably not having it right now. It's you can drop a quarter in a bucket and 17 carriers show up. I realize that right now. But if there's any way that I could possibly be in there to just, kind of shoot you some pricing and give you, and get in there, give me an opportunity. I'm from this area. And if I give you a price, it's a guaranteed truck because I'm the driver, I'm the owner, I'm the carrier. It's me you're working with.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to probably move all your loads, but if it's an outbound load that you're willing to give me a shot and maybe I save you a little bit in here because I'm not, I'm actually the one hauling the freight. Maybe I save you $200 on one load times, who knows how many loads that could add up, right? I'm just hooking you up. Give me an opportunity. But that's something people have to realize. Like, I don't even know how many people in here right now right now. How many people are in here?
62.
All right. So out of the 62 people, I hear this all the time too. Is like, okay, well, I want to go to a customer. I normally haul this load for 1,000. So if I can call this customer, I'm going to tell them that I'll haul it for 1,200 because the broker's probably taking 200. Well, what happens is you go to that customer and you say, hey, I'm a direct carrier. I can haul this load. And they say, well, how much can you haul it for? Now, you've already been hauling for 1,000. Now you go to them for 1,200. They're going to look at you and say, well, I'm already paying the broker 1,200. So what happens if you have to broker the load? You're going to be even higher than the 1,000 plus the 200. You're going to be 1,400. So if you're going to go into a direct customer and you've already been hauling a load for 1,000 per se, you can't ask for 1,200 if you're going to haul the load. You have to say something like, well, if you give it to me or you let me come back tomorrow to haul this, I can do it for 1,000 because I'm going to haul it. And if you have a brokerage, if you say, but I do have a brokerage, but if I have to broker the freight out, it's going to be 1,200 because I'm going to have to get another carrier to do it for the 1,000.
Right.
But you can't go in there and just say, well, I'm going to do it for the same price as the broker. Well, then why do I need you? Because when you have to broker the freight, it's going to be more.
Can you provide the same service as the broker's providing?
Correct. You can't. So but you can do it for the 1,000. And that's where you need to be when you do that. You need to haul that for that 1,000 and get your foot in that door and prove yourself. Look,
Right.
spot market is this is what happens when you bring me on. Spot market is the spot market is the minimum job opportunity board. It's minimum wage board. That's what you're doing, because I don't know you. You don't know me. You're a new hire. I don't pay $20 an hour. Well, they do now, but at one time they didn't pay $20 an hour to flip burgers, right? They just didn't. When you walk in the door, you walk in at that lower pay until you prove yourself. And all right, yeah, this guy did a good job. I'm going to call him back again. Hey, I got another one of those loads. And then you can start walking. Well, if you want me to haul it this time, I'm going to be a little bit more because of this, this, and this. I might say, well, he did a good job. Yeah, I can pay that. And then you're moving that way. But
Right.
if you're just running that load board, I do not put freight on that load board unless I'm absolutely desperate. Absolutely. And
the good freight never hits the load board.
Never,
Really.
never, ever hits the load board. And if it does, it's not the rate that. It's never going to be the rate that it would have been if that broker would have knew you. It's just not, because I gotta protect myself against against the dumb driver that I don't know is going to hire it, because you're not all. Unfortunately, you're not all equal. You're not. There's a lot of bad drivers out there now. A lot. I mean, I literally have drivers who do not speak English calling for freight sometimes when I post loads. I mean,
that's the carrier's fault.
Yeah. I mean, they literally, I'm like, I don't speak, it's either it's Spanish or Russian. I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. And he'll keep going on in Spanish. I'm like, I don't even speak Spanish. And then all I hear is, the load of the towns, because that's usually English. You know what I mean? If they're picking up in Houston, Texas, I hear Houston, Texas, right? I'm like, well, I don't speak Spanish, and I'm not hiring someone.
Sorry, I'm getting attacked here.
See, this is a way to also get better freight, basically.
Yeah, my dog. I let you talk. I let you do all the heavy lifting, and I just sit here hanging out with my dog.
Right. No, the dog being asking for more beef jerky.
She's all about the beef jerky. I tell you that. Aren't you?
Let me ask this. How are brokers in regards to asking information in you, like your interview process, like a new broker? Are they asking who you are, and are you the carrier? Are you the driver? Are you the owner? Are they asking more of that?
No. They're grossly incompetent.
Are they really?
I know that they should be. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get the whole thing you're talking about. Unfortunately, business isn't quite yet being done that way. They are mostly incompetent. Here's the load, it's this. Here's how much we're paying. Do you want it or not? Now, that's people I don't talk to. The ones that I try to deal with most, regularly, they already know. But anytime I call somebody new, they don't ask the questions they should be asking. They don't. They're a low level, probably not even an agent, probably just an employee. And I think they get it wrong.
Are they even in this country?
Shush. That's a whole thing, man. That's a real problem right now. You know what? If you book a load with one of these places that are overseas, you can come to an agreement. You can come to terms. You can work stuff out, book a load, and everything's fine until you have a problem. But the minute you have a problem, it is a serious problem. You could sit for a week with that product on your truck trying to figure out what the hell's is going on with it. They don't care. They will all you will hear is, "I will escalate your problem," and that's all you will ever hear. And that you won't be allowed to talk to anybody up the ladder. To try to find somebody up the ladder is impossible. It can be devastating. You could lose a week. I'm sure there's people in here that have lost a good part of a week on loads like that. I won't even book with them. I just won't. I don't care if the money's good. The potential downside is devastating.
Let me ask this. Have you watched my show? Did you watch any of my shows? Do you watch any of my shows? Probably not, right?
Occasionally now and then. The new platform is kind of a little different than what I get into. But
so one of the things that actually happened was, and this is something that I was shocked about. I had a guy call me in regards to, have you ever dealt with freight being stolen? And what had happened was, I'm like, well, no. because and I explained to him that, well, your freight technically wasn't stolen. What happened is he basically told the carrier, if you don't deliver by Wednesday, the customer's not going to pay. We're not going to pay you. And it was Thursday. So he basically said, well, I'm taking it to my yard and I'm going to wait until you pay me. And he basically held the load. But the trucking company went bankrupt while holding this load.
Uh-oh.
Bankrupt. Closed the doors, shut down. Freight's on the trailer. Gates are locked.
Uh-oh.
Done deal.
That's messy.
Yeah, and it was a company that was opened by a non-U.S. based entity. Let's put it that way. So this freight is sitting in this yard, and basically because the company went out of business while hauling the freight, took it to the yard because this guy said he wasn't going to pay him, and I'm like, dude, I have no. You better lawyers. It's time for lawyers. I said, well, what's going on with the shipper and the receiver? Because the load didn't get delivered. The receiver is now suing the shipper for a performance clause, because there was a performance clause. You have to get this on time. Okay. And then the shipper is going to sue him because it didn't make it.
And guess who can be held to pay for all that? The broker.
Right. Because then the broker's job is to sue the carrier and hope he can get wind saying, I wasn't in possession of the freight. He didn't do his job. But it's got to go to that. I'm like, so do you think, he's like, do you think they're going to sue me? I said, if the shipper's getting sued, it says the shipper getting sued.
Everybody's getting sued.
He says, yes. I said, then you're getting sued. That's what that's how businesses solve problems. Lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's how it's done. Because there's performance clauses. We have to get this delivered. This has to be there. The shipper has to get this delivered. And I'm like, this is a mess, dude. That is a mess. And what happened was there was 6 loads. It was the last out of 6. He knew everybody else. He put this one on the load board. He just wanted to get it moved and get it out of there. And he was making like $500 on this load because it was a pretty long load. They're supposed to deliver good miles on it. And for $500, he didn't do his proper checks and his proper stuff. And now he's in this situation. There's a lot of stuff happening out there that I'm like, dude, I've never had that happen ever.
Yeah. And it gets worse as people get desperate for money or get in a bad, weak financial situation. You'll see all kinds of things we never thought would happen.
I have had people basically say, hey, do you offer cash advances on the load? I don't.
I would never. If you can't stand on your own 2 feet.
Right. At one time, the companies did that. I don't know if they do now. I don't.
Some do. Some will. I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't either. At all.
And I've never taken one as a carrier. I would never. We all need to run and manage our own business.
Yeah. But it's bad. It is definitely. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's like I said, you're not all the same. Carriers are not all the same. But
nobody is.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think we've only scratched the surface of whatever problems we'll see in the future. It's just, it's not fun. It's going to be tough times.
Yeah, brokers just want the lowest rate. They don't care about quality.
Yeah, and for carriers, unfortunately, I had to tell somebody the other day I didn't tell him yet. I'm gonna had a large freight claim against him, and saying, well, what's the broker's liability in this? And I'm like, none.
Correct.
It's all you. You're the carrier. This is, even though you didn't know it, this is what you signed up for. Like, you signed up for a big boy task, and this is the big boy obligations that go with it. Like,
correct. Like,
claims are on you.
And just so you know, and I've had this, but a proper way a broker should handle a freight claim is, and I've done this. I haul over dimensional freight. Let's just say we may or may not have ripped down a few phone lines, fiber optic lines, and electrical lines in my days. Power outages, people screaming that they couldn't watch Oprah, threatening my driver. Anyways, that's true story. She came running out and was yelling at my driver because Oprah was right in the middle of Oprah. He ripped down the telephone line. Anyway, I basically say, okay, there's a freight. The carrier calls me, says we hit something. I said, well, you know what you guys got to do, and they got to take all their pictures, contact their insurance, and they got to handle all that. I then call the shipper and say, hey, they ripped something down. They're going to be sending pictures. I will forward the pictures to you. I will also forward to you a copy of their insurance paperwork, and I will highlight or circle, depending on how they get it. I will circle the number in which you call and the policy number and the name of the carrier. And you, the shipper or customer, have to call because this is your freight and it's your claim. I can't, it's yours.
It's the broker's job to facilitate it.
Correct. And I give them all the information they need, all that kind of, and I say, call this and they'll walk you through it. The insurance company will walk you through it, and I let them handle it. Any brokers that says, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. Technically, they don't. They're overstepping their bounds. They should be handing it to the shipper or customer, whoever it is, and saying, you have to handle this. Here's all the information.
They get intimidated by the shipper that says, you need to handle this or you're not going to haul freight for us anymore.
Right. And my answer to that is, look, do you own a home or do you rent? Or I cannot, if I rented your house, I cannot contact your homeowner's insurance for a claim. I can only contact you to have you contact your homeowner's insurance. And that's the way you want to do it if you have a renter, correct? And it's the same thought process. It's not my home. I can't contact your homeowner's insurance. Now, if I have renter's insurance, I contact my renters, but I can't contact the homeowner's insurance. So I just say to them, look, you're the homeowner here. You're the property owner. I'm not. Their insurance company is not going to talk to me because they're going to say, do you own the freight? And I'm going to say no. And they're going to say, well, I need to talk to the person who owns the freight, and that's kind of how I relay that to the customer.
Yeah.
To make sure that they understand. And once you break it down for them, they're like, okay, well, that makes sense. Then that's how it should be handled. And insurance companies, eventually will say, hey, I need to talk to the shipper. Who are you? Nobody. I'm just a guy making a phone call. Well, I can't talk to you about that. And this is a big thing too. And this gets into another thing with insurance. And we've dealt with this before in regards to I've asked them, what is being a certificate holder? Well, the broker's covered. No, they're not. It's proof of life. A broker is not covered under your insurance unless they ask to be additionally insured.
Yep. And I've had maybe over the course of time, 3 brokerages ask for that.
Right. I think Landstar's one.
And I did it to myself.
Right. Because
I named myself an additional insured.
Might as well, right? Because it's your insurance.
But I also carry, we carry contingent cargo and contingent liability because these rules get misapplied and misunderstood all the time.
Right. But that certificate, when they say, hey, I need a copy of your insurance, I need to be listed as a certificate holder, all that is proof of life from the insurance company with my name on the bottom stating that as of today, you have the proper amount of insurance and my name's on the bottom.
We're making you aware of it.
And we're making you aware of it. It's like holding a newspaper up towards the hostage. It's proof of life. And it's just me doing my job. But that broker does not a part of your insurance. They are not on there. Well, I'm a part, because I've heard brokers say, well, I'm a part of your insurance because I'm a certificate holder. So you ain't a part of my insurance, partner. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to need you to kick in on some premiums then.
Yeah. You're not additionally insured. You're a certificate holder.
Yeah.
But
hey,
they'll tell you.
I have to run. I have to accomplish some tasks here within the next few minutes. So thanks for coming on. Do it again sometime.
I'll check you out later. So I'll see you.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming in. We will catch you later.